It's worrying. I know!
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is April 30th, 2021. This is episode 331, and today, divide and concur. And razzle dazzle, everybody. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
Razzle dazzle!
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. I have to click this here so people can see us. Nobody can see you, Basil. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It feels bumpy right now because we added a whole nother platform that we're streaming to, which is Rumble. I really did rumble up our flow here, but hopefully people can see. It looks like there's 12 people watching on Rumble at the moment. So
that's not bad for the first couple minutes of being on a new platform.
Yeah, not too bad. Although, do they have a chat feature on Rumble? I don't know that they do.
You know, I really don't know anything about Rumble. We just sort of had, a lot of requests to get over on Rumble. And as we begin to spread our wings and stream on more platforms, that just seemed like the thing to do. Oh, let's see here. Yes, it says I can sign in and be the first to comment. So I think technically they have chat over there on Rumble, but it doesn't look like we're getting it sent into the main chat feed. But sorry, Rumble. We'll figure it out. But thanks for being here, everybody.
Yeah, welcome. If you're new to the show, might take a little getting used to our shenanigans here. But hey, we're glad you're here. And anything to discuss before we play some Biden clips at the top here, which is becoming tradition, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to start the show. You know, it's good to start out with some humor, and Biden is a great source for comical clips. So no, nothing really new to say. I forgot I left. I have a painting of an old sea captain behind me. I thought I'd just mention it. I just had it back there because I was moving stuff around in my house and I forgot it was there, and we just decided to leave it so everybody gets to enjoy this painting of a sea captain.
Now, did you make the painting? That's the question.
No, that'd be cool though. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, who it is, what the deal is. It's just a painting of a sea captain. I got it at a garage sale once.
Oh, I thought you were doxing yourself or your grandpa or something.
Yeah, I could. Okay, let me take it back. Yes, this is my great grandfather, Basil Basilman the Fourth, famous sea captain, and he's dead now, though.
Oh, too bad. Was he on the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yep.
Yes. Yes. He was. Okay. Well, good for you. Good for your family lineage there.
Thanks.
We're gonna start with Biden's address here, his first joint session of Congress address. I have this first clip here. This first clip's not funny per se, but I thought it was interesting and not surprising. Talking about.
I do have a question for you, real quick, before I get into the clip. Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched most of it, yeah, and I was I did look at the transcript and searched keywords that he used. Nazi wasn't one of them. I don't think he mentioned Nazis.
Come on, Biden, you gotta mention the Nazis.
Yeah, especially those Nazis.
Don't. All
right. So let's check this out here.
China and other countries are closing in fast. We have to develop and dominate the products and technologies of the future. Advanced batteries, biotechnology, computer chips, clean energy. The Secretary of Defense can tell you, and those of you who work in national security issues know, the Defense Department has an agency called DARPA.
DARPA?
the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. The people who set up before I came here, and that's been a long time ago,
Okay.
to develop breakthroughs that enhance our national security. That's their only job. And it's a semi-separate agency. It's under the Defense Department. It's led to everything from the discovery of the internet to GPS and so much more.
I have a question. Was the internet discovered? Did it already exist and we discovered it? Or
he does. He does kind of do that a few times. Yeah, they discovered the internet as if the internet was just sort of, and GPS. We're just floating out there in nature to be discovered, by the brave explorers at DARPA.
He's doxing the ancient civilization of Atlantis, who had all these technologies.
Yes, they discovered the pre-Adamic races technology.
Yeah, all right. He mentioned something else here in this clip here.
It's enhanced our security. The National Institute of Health, the NIH, I believe, should create a similar advanced research projects agency for health.
Ooh, Daddy Fauci.
Yes, here's what it would do. It would have a singular purpose: to develop breakthroughs to prevent, detect, and treat diseases like Alzheimer's, diabetes, and cancer.
There you go. That's the first clip.
That is a big deal. He's talking about the NIH. He's basically saying we need to super fund Daddy Fauci so he can start his, Daddy Fauci's School for Extraordinary Young Science Folk.
Isn't Elon Musk already working on solving Alzheimer's with his little microchip in the brain, Neuralink?
Sure.
So it would Elon's work be swept up into this new department? What are they going to be called? HARPA?
Well, that's you point out a very important thing, which is this is the scooping up of private research into a government channel.
Yeah, definitely. So, not surprising there, but I always like it when Biden talks about biotech and.
He sounds like such a grandpa.
I know.
Somebody gave him a list of buzzwords to say.
If he wasn't Creepy Joe and didn't talk about his hairy legs and sniff women and little children, he'd be very endearing, like an old man. But just not now because of all the footage.
Well, it's funny, and you can tell because he just lists buzzwords. He doesn't talk about anything. He doesn't give any details. They really know they got to keep it simple for this guy on the teleprompter. So it's literally just yes, we must do better than China at AI, the vaccines, cars, doesn't go into anything, which I guess is fine. He's just giving a speech, but anywho.
People were complaining that, Biden is boring, especially people on the right. A lot of conservatives were Biden's boring and all this. But you gotta just pay attention to the details. This clip here is a 3-second clip. He was supposed to say "build back better," the big buzz phrase of "building back better," but he kind of flubbed it.
We have to do more than just build back better. We we have to build back better.
No, nuts!
There's nothing beyond building back better. Otherwise, it's building back better.
We got to do better than building back better. We have to build back better. Better. Wait. Oh, shoot.
Oh, no. And, this one, again, another 3-second clip talking about Mars and vaccines. We are admittedly taking this out of context just for fun.
Now we're on Mars. Discovering vaccines gave us the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, we're discovering vaccines on Mars.
Yeah, and the internet apparently was discovered on Mars. He gave it away right there. Mars was the first to.
Yes, he's admitting this is Martian technology.
Yeah, there you go. And then this last one.
Very strange. That is not something to just pass over. The fact that he keeps saying discovered. He discovered vaccines. Again, as if it's a natural thing that exists in nature that we are just so lucky to have discovered. No. This is not a discovery. This is an abomination.
You didn't know that's why we were in Afghanistan, to get those large coffins full of syringes with mRNA jabs in there?
Ancient vaccine technology and the black goo instead of the sarcophagi.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So this last one here, this is the one a lot of people were pointing out, and it was at the very end of the speech, and pretty egregious if you ask me.
Our Constitution opens with the words, as trite as it sounds, we the people. Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government.
What?
You and I.
No.
Not some force
You
in
and
the distant
I.
You and I.
Yes, we know you are the government. That's the whole thing. It's like he's just figuring this out. Wait a second. I'm the president. I'm the government.
And no, we the people doesn't mean government.
No, of course not. This
Not
is
some
ridiculous.
force in a distant capital.
Not
That's
some
you.
force in a distant capital. What's he talking about?
I don't know. As he's speaking in the Capitol.
Is he talking about, was he trying to allude to the people that rushed the Capitol building on January 6th? Because that's the big narrative, the bad guys.
I don't know what he's trying to, it's the continuation of this infantilization of the people that that he's talking to.
Yeah.
He continues with this patriarchal sort of fatherly idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Where,
And,
hey, we're all just people, man. It's okay. I'm just like you. I'm the government.
it's you and I. We're both government.
We're all government here.
We had that story a few weeks ago where Joe Biden was featured. What magazine was it? Was it Rolling Stone? Where they photoshopped him into
GQ.
Was it GQ? Okay, yeah, GQ.
Super American photo shoot.
Yes, where he's like on the back of a pickup truck with a beer and a guitar.
Yeah,
and he's golfing, and he's got some golf shorts on in the White House or whatever. They're really pushing this, like, hey, Joe's just a good old American, And that was part of the production of this part right here, where he's talking about, we're the government, we the people, because. For those of you watching, will notice this. For those just listening, I'll explain what's happening here. Basically, while he's talking about this, they do a cut scene zoom, where they focus in on "In God We Trust" written on the pillar behind him on the podium, and then they do like a zoom out, trying to make it seem like, oh, see, he's a good old American.
Mm-hmm.
Not some force in a distant capital. Not some powerful force that we have no control over. It's us. It's we the people. In another era,
In God we
when our
trust.
democracy
Zoom
was
out.
tested, Franklin Roosevelt reminded us, in America, we do our part. We all do our part. That's all I'm asking.
That's all he's asking for.
That is weird. They threw some like artistic camera work into the State of the Union. Not very well, not very subtly, and not very artistically. But that's something that's never been, a feature of the State of the Union address. It's supposed to be just the president up there talking to the people. They throw in all these zooms and artistic angles and like weird stuff. They're really turning it into a production over there.
There must be a new, some kind of apparatus within the hall there to do these streams or these events, because there was another shot here from the first clip that goes from the aisle. It's like below the seats on the aisle, and it like goes up kind of like a crane.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They spent some money on upping the entertainment value in the production. You'll notice the lighting too.
Yeah,
it's very specially lit, very dramatically lit. When it does do that crane shot from below the pews, you can see up in the ceiling, they have very special, production lighting. They've got directional lighting. It's not the normal sort of, bureaucratic, machine lighting.
Yeah,
that is present in every other time that this place is shown. So they very specifically put a lot of attention into making this kind of kind of a Hollywood version of giving the speech, which is very effective for the mind control, very effective for the emotionality of this. Oh, this is a groundbreaking State of the Union where America is back on track. I mean, look at even the lighting on the background of the, what do they call that? The seat, the Speaker of the House seat, very dramatic lighting on the pillars and the American flag and the "In God We Trust" thing. It's there, with the Hollywood industry in as bad a shape as it is right now. The worst possible thing is happening where now all the Hollywood people are getting hired by the government to produce State of the Union speeches.
Yeah, he did do the jobs thing too, which really tickled the No Agenda listeners.
Yes, which pretty much every president in our lifetime has made the point in their, I believe it's the State of the Union, but in general, to say jobs, jobs, jobs. We're always going for the jobs. It's something everybody can agree on. And, I started thinking about it. I'm like, that is the lamest thing to focus on or to think that people care about, especially in times as these. Not to say that people don't care about jobs. People definitely need jobs, but the control a president has over jobs is so indirect that it's kind of a bait and switch type of thing.
Yeah.
Where, hey, if he just makes jobs, he can do whatever he wants as long as he makes jobs.
Yeah. And then people were pointing out that he was, when he was done with the whole speech, he was looking for his mask, and he announces it into the mic too, looking for my mask, and then he finds it in his pocket.
That is funny.
Looking in his notebook, and So anyway, there's the president of the United States.
Yeah, great,
selected.
Great job, love it,
and just for fun.
Nazi fags.
Oh,
because we have to.
No, we don't have to do anything.
We're a family-friendly show. I understand we're a family-friendly show, but I think it's important to point out what the president says and explain to the children what the president was talking about here. So,
well, there's a time limit. There's a time limit on that clip. I'm
1 second.
Making an executive order.
It's a 1 second.
We've only got a
clip.
couple more episodes where we can play that. All right. Let's talk about Flippy.
Well, before we do, real quick, just for those of you listening, there's been kind of a crackdown on Apple Podcasts and stuff. We do want to just mention real quick, go to newpodcastapps.com. Or if you're super stealthy, you can go to podcastindex.org/apps. These are the apps that you can get that are participating in Podcasting 2.0, which is led by Adam Curry over at No Agenda. And our feed is in there. So you can download any of these apps and you can find Canary Cry News Talk, subscribe to it. There's certain apps where you can even send us some bits of Satoshi in this new value for value technology model we got going here. So just an option. The link for this will be in the description at canarycrynewstalk.com. Just to get people thinking outside the whole, I can only listen to podcasts on Spotify or Apple Podcast kind of mindset, because they're cracking down there too. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, and Apple Podcasts is making changes as well. So newpodcastapps.com. If you're looking to step into the future of podcasting, there's a lot of good options there. And I believe all of those apps are on the Podcasting 2.0 track.
Yes. Whether
or not they're all fully equipped, those ones are, following along and making sure to keep up with the Podcasting 2.0 standards, which is great. We're very excited about.
Yep. Okay.
Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. For those who are new to the show, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and now there's nothing we can do about it. Today, Gons, is a very exciting Flippy update. This is Really, one of the most unique Flippy updates we've had. And, Flippy, the dynamic skills of the disembodied robot arm just continue to astound. I'm going to read through this whole article. You don't really, you get it in the headline, but anyways, here we go. Flippy's going to space, everybody. The headline, this is coming from IFLscience.com. The headline is, NASA wanted to vibrate dead astronauts' bodies to dust with a robotic arm. Yes, you heard that correctly.
This article has 0 shares, and it means that the Flippy update is the only proper context to really deconstruct this story. So,
I think one of your blockers are blocking that counter for you, because on mine it has over 700 shares. This is a very important story that everybody cares about.
I guess I don't get the truth. I don't get any true data concerning this stuff.
I know, you're getting shadow banned shares. Yeah. The article reads like this: what happens if an astronaut dies in space? This is the question that NASA has been juggling for years, a true ethical and logistical conundrum that requires a practical method that both respects the dead while removing the body from the spacecraft as soon as possible. It is interesting. It's at least implied here, but I think it might be the case that we've never had an astronaut die in space, which is pretty interesting considering it's like, that's what they're implying here. What happens if an astronaut dies in space? Maybe you could do a little searchy search while I read this. See, deceased bodies are not something you want to be in the close proximity to. What the heck? See, deceased bodies are not something you want to be in close proximity to. They smell really bad. They are a hive of bacteria as they decompose, and it would be pretty scarring for astronauts to have to live alongside the corpse of their fallen friends. At this point, you're sitting here thinking, quote, why don't they just expel the body into space? After all, throughout sci-fi movie history, opening the airlock and releasing the corpse into the abyss has been the go-to method. Except, due to the prevention of space junk and potential collisions with other orbiting spacecraft, UN law actually makes it illegal to dump corpses into space. Seems like a pretty difficult law to enforce, but okay. Therefore, NASA had to get creative. They created multiple research groups to generate some viable ideas, exploring different avenues in which to dispose of bodies in space, according to some of the people involved. Few solid ideas were put forward, but there was one that stood out, and it is a quite strange one. In collaboration with the ecological burial company Promessa, one research team proposed the body back idea. Build body back better. Firstly, the body must be removed from site and prevented from polluting the air within the spacecraft as it decomposes. The scientists proposed it should be put into a Gore-Tex bag and sealed, essentially a space-age body bag. This part isn't all that innovative, but it does allow respects and tributes to be paid to the fallen crew member. From here, it gets a little bit strange. The body back was developed with the idea of traveling to Mars, so simply sending the body back to Earth is off the table. They can't be cremated. Flames and pressurized oxygenated environments are not exactly a match made in heaven. So the team turned to promession. Promession is an ecological burial technique in which a body is freeze-dried and then vibrated, disintegrating the body into dust, with the potential to return the remains into the ecosystem as a form of fertilizer, if they so wish. It was invented by Promessa's founder, Suzanne Wymasak, and was offered by Promessa until 2015, when the company was liquidated. The idea was slammed by critics who said it isn't possible to atomize a body in this way. Still, NASA was intrigued, and they thought up a way to make this process happen in space. The idea was to place a body in the bag and expose the corpse package to the freezing temperatures of space. Once adequately frozen, it would be vibrated by a robotic arm until it was nothing but a fine powder. It could then be stored. Oh my gosh.
So crazy.
So it's the craziest sounding thing. It could then be stored ready to be returned to their loved ones once crew comes home, or used as fertilizer. If this works is debatable, but there's a terrestrial funerary practice that can turn you into compost. This idea was developed in 2005. But with the liquidation of Promessa and no more word from NASA on the suggestion, it appears to have been abandoned. In 2013, the founder of Promessa announced that NASA or other unnamed private organization was prepared to use the plan in an emergency during their voyage to Mars. But this was never verified. So there you go, Gons. Not only does Flippy have potential flipping burgers, loading missiles for the army, but also becoming a space grave digger. A space, I don't even know. Grave digger is not even the right word. But he'd just latch onto you and just shake you until you're a fine powder.
I like Vampire Hunter D in the chat. Shake and wake. That's good. It's the shake and wake.
Shake and wake. Yeah, that's great. Well, I love this also because the most famous robotic arm in space right now, thanks to our Canadian neighbors, is Canadarm2. You did it, Canada. And now, thanks to Canadarm2, we can shake dead astronauts into a fine powder to be used.
So weird.
To grow things on Mars.
You have to sign off on that. Like, do you want to be burned? Do you want to just be released into space, or do you want to be shaken into a fine powder by a robotic arm? Which one is the?
I think the powder is the only option. It's illegal to set you out in space, and you can't use flames in the oxygen chambers. Yeah. So yeah, I think you have to sign a waiver saying, I understand that the only option is for my corpse to be vibrated into a fine powder by the cold, unfeeling hand of a robotic arm.
Yeah, that is very...
Thanks, Canada.
Yeah, thanks, Canada. I did look this up. The only people that have technically died in space, quotations, is June of 1971. The 3 crew members of Soyuz 11 were coming back from their little space mission, and they didn't survive the voyage. They died from asphyxiation, and they were at an altitude of 168 kilometers or 104 miles when the cabin depressurized. And it's internationally recognized that space begins at an altitude of 100 kilometers or 62 miles. So technically they were in space.
So they weren't in space, but they were in technical space.
Technical space, yeah. So.
Okay, all right. Well, that's too bad, but it sounds like, if the whole crew eats it, then who's there to turn on the robotic arm?
It'll just know. It'll know.
Yeah, Flippy's autonomous, senses
Flippy will know.
6 dead corpses, and just gets to work. Oh
yeah. All right. Well, good luck to the people there trying to get
and
up.
Congratulations, Flippy, for the promotion.
Flip burgers, shake your drinks, and your dead corpse friend.
Oh, that's true. The technology exists. There is the bartender Flippy that can shake martinis.
That's right.
Wow. It's just a matter of scaling up the technology.
Scaling up and circumstantial. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have a quick update here from jail.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
No, update from jail.
From jail. This is MSN.com. It's actually mirroring a Newsweek story, and the headline is "The Rise and Fall of Ghislaine Maxwell in Photos."
Oh, okay.
And guess what? Ghislaine Maxwell can be seen with a black eye in a picture released by the British socialite's lawyers. Maxwell, 59, is awaiting a scheduled July trial in a U.S. prison over Jeffrey Epstein-related sex trafficking offense to which she pleaded not guilty last week. We know about her, so I'm not going to read over it because we've gone over it so many times. Yeah. But it says here that Maxwell reportedly told her lawyers the bruise might come from having to shield her eyes from the light that guards repeatedly shine on her. What? Apparently to verify that she is still breathing.
What? So she's saying she punched her own self in the face. because somebody shined a light at her.
I guess, maybe. Yeah, either that or the light they're using is a laser beam and it's giving her a black eye.
Well, she said from shielding it. So basically she inducted herself into the Black Eye Club.
Okay. The photo of a bruised Maxwell comes amid her lawyers' ongoing complaints about her conditions in jail and failed bail attempts, according to The Guardian. Bobby Sternheim, a lawyer representing Maxwell, shared the photo with New York Judge Allison Nathan this week. He explained that Maxwell was not sure how she got the bruise and that guards had confronted her over it, threatening to move her to a special housing unit. Quote, while Miss Maxwell is unaware of the cause of the bruise, as reported to medical and psych staff, she has grown increasingly reluctant to report information to the guards for fear of retaliation, discipline, and punitive chores, said Sternheim, according to the BBC. Judge Nathan ordered an explanation regarding the sleep deprivation claims and asked for information on if and why nighttime surveillance is being conducted on Maxwell. Well, because she might off herself if she's really in there. And it's interesting because we said, like, hey, how come we haven't seen any pictures from, and, you know, we looked at the drawings from the courtroom, but we literally had a single photo of her since she was allegedly arrested.
Right.
And the first one we get, she has a black eye. I mean,
and the picture is very strange too. It's like a close-up selfie.
Yeah. Total selfie.
And she's kind of got like a smirk on, like she's smiling.
Yeah, it's weird.
When was it? This is a very strange photo to come out. And I don't know if it's cropped or not, but you can't see anything. Like, you don't know where this could have been taken anywhere. Now, I'm not suggesting that she's not in jail, although, you know, who knows? There's lots of interesting theories. But yeah, it's just this weird, super close up. I will say, though, Gons, those eyebrows are on point. Somebody is giving her some threading or some eyebrow treatments. They're very clean, very sharp lines.
That's a good point. She's been in there for several months now. Those eyebrows should be very
6 to 8 months or something.
We point out the black eye because it seems to be a pattern with the elite. We often see celebrities, world leaders, the Pope, many people just walk around with a black eye. And, you know, there's been many speculations on what this means. It could be a distress signal. It could be
some sort of induction into some sort of club or knowledge, or maybe even just a punishment.
Or punishment. Yeah. It's unsure of what it is, but it is strange. And of course, I mean, there's got to be a certain... Do you think they're unaware that this is a thing that the crazy conspiracy theorists talk about?
No, they love it. I think they know that people are onto it and they don't care. It's kind of like a game.
Because they have to know that the people really tracking this story are people like us. Like, not a whole lot of normie people are really following this Epstein story or the Epstein related, you know, Ghislaine Maxwell, what's happening to her and all that. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like this is on purpose to begin with. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. There was another story about creepy images from Epstein's estate released. It is not safe for work. So I am going to leave that in the additional stories section in the show notes.
Yeah, very creepy.
Very
pictures.
creepy. I mean, not surprising at all. But yeah, it's always interesting when, you know, the realities of what this guy was doing and you know, the kind of things he was valuing.
Yeah, especially since, you know, people were onto him for years. Alex Jones being one of them. He was kind of one of the first guys breaking down this Epstein guy. And everything was true. I mean, that's the crazy part about it. Another one of those conspiracy theorists were right all along moments. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, if we're not going to go through that, should we talk about some politics?
Let's do it.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
Politics. Okay, folks, we're going to talk about the many bloodsuckers here. This next story, I don't know, this could have fit into another section, but it happened in DC, so it's must be politically related. And our favorite part, this is coming from CNN.com. The headline, U.S. investigating possible mysterious directed energy attack near White House. This is on CNN. They're talking about directed energy weapons on CNN. Another crazy conspiracy theory that got put, that stuck people in the funny farm for talking about, straight up on CNN.
The last time we heard about DEWs, directed energy weapons, in the mainstream was when they were making fun of the Jewish lasers. Remember the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing?
Talking about directed energy weapons got totally twisted into Jewish space lasers. But now CNN is talking about Jewish space lasers or something. Let's see what they got to say.
See what they have.
It reads like this. Federal agencies are investigating at least 2 possible incidents on U.S. soil, including one near the White House in November of last year, that appear similar to mysterious invisible attacks that have led to debilitating symptoms for dozens of U.S. personnel abroad. The most famous of which was the Cuban incident. Happened, was that, 2018 or something?
Was it Cuba, though?
It was in Havana. Yeah, it was the Havana. It was because it was when Cuba was open and we had the U.S. Embassy there.
Yeah.
And the whole embassy got zapped by a mysterious directed energy weapon.
Yeah.
All right. Multiple sources familiar with the matter tell CNN that while the Pentagon and other agencies probing the matter have reached no clear conclusions on what happened, the fact that such an attack might have taken place so close to the White House is particularly alarming. Defense officials briefed lawmakers on the Senate and House Armed Services Committee on the matter earlier this month, including on the incident near the White House. That incident, which occurred near the Ellipse, the large oval lawn on the south side of the White House, sickened one National Security Council official, according to multiple current and former U.S. officials and sources familiar with the matter. In a separate 2019 episode, a White House official reported a similar attack while walking her dog in a Virginia suburb just outside of Washington, GQ reported last year. Oh, wow. So these are reports coming out that happened anywhere from 6 months to a couple of years ago. Those sickened reported similar symptoms to CIA and State Department personnel. Oh yeah, here it is. Impacted overseas, and officials quickly began to investigate the incident as a possible, quote, Havana syndrome attack. That name refers to unexplained symptoms that U.S. personnel in Cuba began experiencing in late 2016. Wow, we've been doing this show for a long time. A varying set of complaints that includes ear-popping vertigo, pounding headaches, and nausea, sometimes accompanied by an unidentified piercing directional noise. Rumors have long swirled around Washington about similar incidents with the United States, within the United States. While the recent episodes around Washington appear similar to the previous apparent attacks affecting diplomats, CIA officers, and other U.S. personnel serving in Cuba, Russia, and China, investigators have not determined whether the puzzling incidents at home are connected to those that have occurred abroad, or who may be behind them, sources tell CNN. Defense officials who briefed lawmakers said it was possible Russia was behind the attacks, but they did not have enough information to say for sure.
Russia.
I love it. We're implicating Russia, even though, I mean, the words are, they said it was possible, but there's not enough information. So, okay. I mean, it's possible that,
aliens.
Who knows? Yeah. Yeah. Another former U.S. official involved in the investigation at the time said China was also among the suspects. No kidding.
Ooh.
The U.S. has struggled to understand these attacks since 2016 and 2017. When
lie.
Diplomatic.
What? Lie.
Yeah, right. Struggled to understand these attacks. It is interesting. Thanks for pointing that out, because of course we know that, for instance, DARPA probably is very aware of this technology, not to mention, the CIA and all sorts of people at the top of that pyramid. But in the language of this CNN article, the U.S. has struggled to understand these attacks. So it's, again, sort of implying that, like, oh, the government has no idea what this is. But the term the U.S. could very much just mean, like, oh, regular Joe Schmo, the civilians or even the media struggle to understand these attacks. Anyways, when diplomatic and intelligence personnel in Cuba first began reporting alarming symptoms that seemed to appear out of the blue, intelligence and defense officials have been reluctant to speak publicly about the strange incidents, and some who were impacted have complained publicly that the CIA did not take the matter seriously enough, at least initially.
Probably because they were the ones doing it.
Yeah, exactly. The attacks eventually led to a dramatic drawdown of staff at the outpost in Havana under the Trump administration. Personnel in Russia and China reported similar unexplained incidents. Though there's no consensus as to what causes the symptoms, one State Department-sponsored study found they were likely the result of microwave energy attacks. Dun, dun, dun. Now, this article goes on and on and on, Gons. They talk about the bureaucratic power play. They talk about, let's see, further down, difficult to determine the cause of symptoms. No kidding. So I don't know if we want to go all the way through this, but this does seem to be, first of all, an article being put out by CNN to catch everybody up on the technology, because of course they've ignored it or denied it for like a decade, or actually more, just a decade of our career, when directed energy attacks are just crazy conspiracy theory. So this article is interesting because it's very long and very detailed, and it's they're just kind of trying. I think it's like a make good for not covering it.
Read the last like 2 or 3, maybe 4 paragraphs, even though they're not. Each one is like a couple of them are sentences, but
of the entire article here.
Yeah, where there's a quote that says "There's nothing that the Secretary of Defense."
Sure. Let me pop up right before that. Another U.S. defense official confirmed that the Pentagon's investigation is ongoing. The official would offer no details, but said, quote, "We would not still be looking at this if we didn't have equities in it." Okay.
Quote, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. What do you mean equities in it? Quote, "There is nothing that the Secretary of Defense takes more seriously that the safety, health, and welfare of our personnel serving around the globe in defense of our values and freedoms." Okay. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said in a statement, quote, "Any concerns on issues that call that into question are thoroughly reviewed, and the appropriate actions are taken to mitigate risks to our personnel." A March report from the National Academy of Sciences found that, quote, "Directed pulsed radio frequency energy was the most likely cause of the strange set of symptoms. While the report was carefully written not to overstate its findings, it offered some of the clearest public evidence to date that the incidents could be attacks, attributing the afflictions to pulsed or directed energy." Dun, dun, dun. Some personnel have been seriously injured from the alleged attacks, with at least one career CIA officer forced to retire last year and diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. Wow, that's serious. This is very interesting because, at least as of now, reported to the public, there's been no deaths reported to the public from this technology. And I feel like they're just not telling us, because why would some bad actor, be using directed energy weapons fairly consistently on U.S. diplomats and intelligence personnel without it effectively killing anyone? They're like, "We're going to go on a multiple year-long campaign to give U.S. officials tummy aches on purpose."
Yeah.
Like, it has to be killing someone, or else why would they keep doing it? Unless it's just a campaign to tease the U.S.
Well, the other aspect of this is that the U.S. has probably been using this technology on foreign adversaries, quote unquote,
Right.
for years.
Yeah.
And this could be that, hey, they sold the weapons to some other nation, and they're getting involved with messing with our diplomats, but they're maybe too scared to kill at least the public ones. But in any case, I do want to play this clip from a long, long time ago. This is, let's see, I think it was in 2001. This is a famous clip of Donald Rumsfeld being asked about directed energy weapons after 9/11. Here we go. Let's see what, we got some bad music or something. Maybe it's not a good clip. Come on.
Fight the war on terror, specifically directed energy and high-powered microwave technology. When do you envision that you can weaponize that type of technology?
Goodness. It is in, for the most part, the kinds of things you're talking about are in varying early stages. Do you want to give anything you'd add?
I don't think I would add much. I think they are in early stages and probably not ready for employment at this point.
In the normal order of things, when you invest in research and development and begin a developmental project, you don't have any intention or expectations that one would use it. On the other hand, the real world intervenes from time to time, and you reach in there and take something out that is still in a developmental stage, and you might use it. So your question's not answerable. It depends on what happens in the future and how well things move along the track, and whether or not someone feels it's appropriate to reach into a development stage and see if something might be useful, as was the case with the unmanned aerial vehicles.
Said the man nobody believes.
The U.S. Secretary of Defense at the time, 2001. Yeah, so, I mean, this is, again, I play this because I think if there are new people in the space and people haven't been looking at this stuff for a long time, they don't know that stuff like this has been discussed 20 years ago in a press conference, a White House press conference or Pentagon press conference or whatever.
Right.
So, but it's interesting because the clip this is a bad quality clip, but when the reporter asks the question, and by the way, look how civil things were back then. It's like, whoa, one person asking a question, they're not yelling over each other, and
nobody's calling her a racist for asking the question.
And I don't know if you noticed, but he kind of does this like, oh goodness, like he kind of has this moment of like, oh boy, why are you asking this question to me?
Yeah.
Which is always kind of funny. Also, Donald Rumsfeld was the guy who announced the day before the two towers were hit that the U.S. government, I believe, was missing $2.3 trillion. I believe it was.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, oh, we don't know what happened to it. We must have mismanaged it. And then the next day,
we got to check the files. We keep them in the Twin Towers.
No, it was Building 7, which is where all the stuff was kept in. And of course, that thing went down after it was announced on air. Yeah. But in any case, just something to remind people that this kind of technology has been around for a long time. The military's probably had it for a long time. And so it goes to show, though, with CNN, how far behind people that actually, believe CNN is the cutting edge of news.
I know.
They're so far behind. It's not even talk about sheeple,
It's so interesting, though, that they are moving into this space where they're reporting on things that they cannot deny anymore.
They can't deny it anymore, so they have to kind of ease it.
I wonder what kind, and of course, nobody's really paying attention to it. At least CNN people are not paying attention to it. And if they do, it's just so bizarre that it goes in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit their paradigm of racists and...
Right. If nobody's racist, then why even bother?
Were the people using the lasers racists? Well, we don't know that. Well, then it doesn't matter.
Are they anti-Semites? If not, I don't care.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting story coming straight out of CNN. We kept it in the POLYTICK just because it's POLYTICK. Moving on, though. Do you got anything else on this, or can we keep going?
No.
All right. Well, along those same lines here, this is govexec.com. DHS launches internal probe to root out domestic violent extremism within its ranks. Now,
maybe the domestic violent extremists have the microwave weapons.
You had said that this phrase, domestic violent extremists, would be used kind of weaponized in a way, so I'll give you the call it.
Called it. Yay.
And here's what it says. The Biden administration will probe a part of its own workforce to root out, quote, domestic violent extremism, with the Homeland Security Department announcing on Monday it will launch a review. The investigation will determine how to prevent and respond to racially or ethnically motivated violence and other extremist acts, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said. DHS has cautioned there is a heightened threat for domestic attacks and has designated its efforts to counter the threat as a, quote, national priority area. And
yeah, hold on real quick. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but who is probing themselves for this? Okay, I didn't mean it like that. But who is it? Who's doing this?
The Biden administration.
The Biden administration?
Yes.
They think they have racist terrorists in their own administration.
In the DHS. Yeah.
They are eating themselves alive.
I think that's the point here.
That's crazy.
That's the point.
Sorry, keep going.
DHS has cautioned there's a heightened threat for domestic attacks and has designated its effort to counter the threat as a, quote, national priority area in doling out federal emergency management agency grants. Mayorkas pointed specifically to the January 6th violent insurrection attempt at the U.S. Capitol building as evidence that domestic extremism is the most, quote, lethal and persistent terrorism-related threat to our country today. You know, one thing to point out, how many times has a federal building like caught on fire and been attacked over the last year?
Right, by Antifa.
But they always use January 6th as like this catalyst, this springboard to like make changes and take out the domestic extremists.
It frightened AOC, so we must catch these monsters.
She was in a bathroom stall.
AOC.
She was in a bathroom stall going live on Instagram. I'm here.
I don't even think she was in the office. She was like down the block or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. Quote,
it doesn't matter.
As we work to safeguard our nation, we must be vigilant in our efforts to identify and combat domestic violent extremism within both the broader community and our own organization. Hateful acts and violent extremism will not be tolerated within our department, the secretary said in a message to the department's 240,000 employees on Monday. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Quote, violent extremism has no place at DHS and we will work with urgency and focus to address it. I mean, what prompted this? Anyway, let's keep reading. Let's see what happens. The department's chief security officer will lead the probe and report back to Mayorkas on findings. DHS is planning to issue new internal requirements for reporting insider threats and other actions, quote, associated with domestic violent extremism. It will also issue reminders related to its anti-harassment and anti-discrimination policies. Quote, each of you brings great honor to DHS, Mayorkas said. Quote,
bring great honor.
We will not allow hateful acts or violent extremism to penetrate the fabric of our department and fundamentally compromise our ability to protect the homeland. President Biden previously announced he would seek internal probes at Homeland Security, proposing a 22% surge in funding at both Customs and Border Protection and Immigration and Customs Enforcement's offices of professional responsibility as part of his fiscal 2022 budget request.
So the 240,000 employees.
Yeah, that's like including everybody.
Yeah, so this must be all sort of federal employees then.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, it's a purge, man.
It is a purge. I think ultimately, I think it's like a purge of the white hog.
Yeah, well, it's, of course, they're framing it in the case that, yes, we need to purge all domestic terrorists from the government
overall,
the government employment. But that's like exactly what dictators do.
Yeah,
they call political opponents terrorists, and then purge them from leadership, and then you have a one-party system where even all the way down to the single man or woman, in a law enforcement agency or something, is toes the party line. Just point, not that I'm here to try to protect real racists or anything, but Emperor Palpatine called the rebellion terrorists. Like, it's a pretty common thing for a despot to do.
I like the Star Wars reference is always welcomed on the show, apparently. So
yeah.
Makes sense. It's a good cultural reference point there. The money would go toward ensuring proper investigations and complaints lodged against their workforces, including, quote, those related to white supremacy.
Classic.
Or ideological and non-ideological beliefs. CBP launched an internal investigation.
Whoa. Ideological or non-ideological beliefs?
Yeah, like
what does that even mean?
It means you're just the color of your skin.
It means whatever we want it to mean is what it means.
Yeah. CBP launched an internal investigation after ProPublica in 2019 exposed a Facebook group in which employees were posting racist, sexist, and xenophobic content, subsequently disciplining several workers. Mark Morgan, who briefly led the Border Patrol under President Obama and headed up both ICE and CBP under President Trump, recently told a government executive he thought it was unfair that the Biden administration singled out Homeland Security components for review. Quote, why is it that it's CBP and ICE that gets brought under the microscope, Morgan said. It's political. The Defense Department earlier this month announced it was launching a counter-extremism initiative to root out extremist behavior within the military. Defense will define prohibited extremist activities and commission a study on how prevalent such behavior is within its ranks. Each service will also boost its screening for potentially violent extremist personnel.
You know what? Mikey in the YouTube, Mikey likes it in the YouTube chat, says they call them terrorists because under the Patriot Act, all terrorists have zero rights and can be held indefinitely. That is an excellent point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all connected. Why this new term, this brand new term, they're going to call these people terrorists, and it's a way to round up and indefinitely detain American citizens.
Yeah. So,
and again, another situation that sounded like crazy, complete conspiracy poppycock, even 4 years ago. And now, we're watching it take place in action.
I tried to tell you.
I don't like it.
No.
I mean, even now, as I say that, I feel the programming is fighting back to saying that it still sounds like crazy conspiracy theory, but it's right there in black and white.
Yeah, it's I don't think people realize how, and not that, we're not like huge Trump people here, but
I don't even think we're little Trump people here.
No.
Well, maybe you're a little.
Well, I mean, we don't really take sides in the right left paradigm here. So that's been a consistent theme, which really angered Trump supporters.
Yeah, they don't like us very much.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're not like here supporting AOC. Except you love AOC. But otherwise,
hey, I mean, she's got a very symmetrical face. What can I say?
Okay, you're a materialist. I don't know what I meant by that, but anyway, what was my point? My point was that the Biden presidency really is pushing forward a really, really disturbing government that I don't think people are realizing how much is being presented to change. I was texting you, Basil, over the last few days about what Biden plans for real estate. It's going to destroy the whole real estate industry.
It's the war on savers.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And just a real quick, just for those just in case you want to go Google this yourself, what is it? 1031 exemption?
Yeah, I think it's the 1031.
Which is, or exception, I think.
It's the exchange thing.
Exchange. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is where you don't have to pay as much or any capital gains tax.
Right.
You sell a house and then buy another one with the money, which is, is put in place to allow the middle class to ratchet up in, their lifestyle. So, you start with a little tiny house, hopefully, in generations before ours, Gons. Let me tell you how this used to work.
Yeah.
Back when the American dream was a thing, you start off, get out of high school, get a job, work for a while, buy a little tiny house, and then, you live there for a while, pay it off, sell the house, buy a little bit bigger house, ratchet up that way. And that was doable because you didn't have to pay as much taxes on that sale. So it allows you to, make a bigger investment. Well, Biden is throwing around the idea of getting rid of that. They
call it a loophole.
A loophole.
It's not really a loophole, but they call it that.
You want to demonize it, you call it a loophole.
Yeah.
It's not a loophole. It was an incentive for middle-class families to invest in real estate. But they're getting rid of it because, real estate is a great way for middle-class families to actually build wealth and not have to rent their entire lives and not be a slave to the 2030 agenda. You won't own anything and you'll be happy.
Right.
And but getting rid of that would severely hamper not the rich billionaires that they keep complaining about. It would mostly hamper the middle class who are just trying to get a foothold and just have a little bit of comfort for once. And more than that, it even hurts the lower than middle class, middle class. And, especially in this time where, trying to incentivize and empower minorities to get into the real estate market. This is completely sabotaging this. Black Lives Matter should be burning down. Well, I don't know. I guess whatever they want, as usual. To fight this. This is crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to equate Black Lives Matter and Antifa. They're two different things. I meant Antifa. So, anyways,
yeah, it's going to create, specific to the 1031 tax deferred exchanges thing here. It would allow or disincentivize people that own property to sell it. And it would make it very, very hard for anybody to buy, like you said, middle class and lower class, to even get into the real estate game. So the stakeholders all have properties and they rent it out to people. And then you have your two-class system. You have your have and your have-nots. It's not a good thing, but, we're not a real estate show, so we won't get too bogged down into the details. I don't really know real estate too much.
Yeah, and also I'm not a professional. That is my layman's understanding of the 1031 exchange.
Yeah, me too. But moving on here. This is from the Mirror, .co.uk. Government used exclusive WhatsApp group to give VIP CEOs info about PPE deals.
Yeah.
You want me to do it, or you want to run through this real quick? It's not too long.
I'm running into a little bit of a... Why don't you do it?
Okay.
Not able to open this one.
The government used an exclusive WhatsApp group to give VIP company CEOs information about its PPP requirements, a court has been told. A high court judge today ordered Matt Hancock to hand over text and WhatsApp messages about lucrative COVID-19 contracts. The Good Law Project has been pursuing the government in the high court to reveal details of the VIP fast lane for COVID contracts. Evidence brought up in court today suggests the government used a WhatsApp group of 200 company CEOs to, quote, provide special communications, apparently unavailable to other suppliers, about its forecast PPE requirements. The existence of the group was revealed for the first time today in a meeting agenda from last April disclosed to the court by the government. It reads, quote, redacted, to connect with redacted and confirm preferred way forward to sharing communications with CEOs and CPOs, chief product officers. Note, and this is part of the quote, there was a WhatsApp group with circa 200 CEO, and this is an informal way to communicate. There's also a separate channel for CPOs, end quote. But government lawyers have so far failed to disclose any text or instant messages to the court. Today, the court ordered Mr. Hancock to search for and disclose, quote, text and WhatsApp messages for some selected civil servants. The government were also ordered to pay the Good Law Project's legal costs. A spokesperson for the project said, quote, we believe we are left in a position of being unable fairly to interrogate and challenge the account given by government in its evidence. Their barrister outlined concerns about the disclosure of information to a judge overseeing the litigation at a preliminary online high court hearing today. Jason Koppel, QC, told Mrs. Justice O'Farrell there had been a, quote, obvious lack of transparency in Mr. Hancock's conduct. Quote, the defendant has made late and only partial disclosure and has refused to provide critical information on important parts of the case against him, Mr. Koppel said. The claimant had been left in a position of being unable to interrogate and fairly challenge the account given by the defendant. He said, quote, there has been an obvious lack of... And just repeats the same thing over and over again. We get it.
I mean, I think we get it. The thing is that government officials were giving backdoor information on how to get COVID relief money for their companies.
Yeah,
that,
beforehand.
Small businesses don't have access to.
And this could be a little tiny glimpse into how a bunch of CEOs in America stepped down in January, February-ish of 2020. Remember all those it was like 30-something CEOs of giant companies. This was before COVID was a complete disaster. You had the head of Disney stepping down. Yeah. You had the head of all these humongous companies stepping down the month before the world shut down. Yeah. So this is
when they were telling us not to worry about COVID.
Right.
And they knew about it and had run simulation tabletop strategy games on how to handle it.
Yeah. We all know about those strategy
Turns
games.
out it was all happening on WhatsApp. We just needed to get an invite to the cool group.
Yeah, I wonder what avatars these politicians use. It'd be interesting to see. All right, speaking of the pandemic that shut down the world. I don't know if you heard about this, Basil. You ready to do some WACCINE stories? Yeah, the pandemic.
Yeah, no, this is a video. We got a clip here. This is a video that was flying around TikTok and then, of course, made it to the rest of the internet. And what we've been seeing here is so we've heard Jen Psaki and others in the government talk about how, people just don't want their vaccine because we're not doing a good enough job advertising it. We need to advertise it better. Yeah. And then they talk about, we got advertisements on NASCAR. We got the, we're getting it into churches. We're doing all we can to combat vaccine hesitancy and put out good PR for the vaccines. Wow, excuse me. Well, as we know, it's 2021, and one of the best ways to advertise a product is using social media influencers. And the vaccine is no different. So we have this. I want to give a cringe warning here. This is going to be painful, but I promise you, you will be better afterwards. Imagine it like a directed energy weapon. While this is playing, you're going to feel nauseous. You're going to feel a headache. You might even feel an unexplainable surge of rage come up from the depths of your soul. But afterwards, it'll all be over and we can talk about it together.
WACCINE.
Hiya, Pfizer.
Hi, Ben.
You got any extra shots?
Sure, Ben.
Sleeves up.
I'm a Pfizer girl in a COVID world. I'm the classic mRNA-tastic 95%. There's no argument. Got no contagion with my vaccination.
Come on, Pfizer, let's go party.
With a mask on.
Come on, Pfizer, let's go travel. We'll have to do this again for my second shot.
Oh, I love you, Ben.
Hiya, Pfizer.
Oh, I had to hold my breath that whole time. It hurt too much to breathe.
It's like driving under a tunnel.
It's just close your eyes until it's over. So there you go. That was an example of some of the quality content being put out by today's TikTok stars. That was a rendition of, what is that called? I'm a Barbie Girl? What is the name of the actual song?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter. I'm a Pfizer girl.
Yes, I'm a Pfizer girl. So again, the vaccine wars continue and Pfizer really hit it out of the park. Now, if you were watching, you got to see the video. If you're just listening, it's I would say early 20s guy, early 20s girl, and they're reenacting the I'm a Barbie girl the music video. Kind of like this is not studio quality, but definitely somebody put a lot of work into this, I'd say. And I wonder how much they got paid.
I was going to say that they definitely got paid for this. There's no way that they just did this out of the blue. Yeah, you can see the lighting. I mean, they have a studio, they have a green screen and some lights for sure, in terms of production value. But, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, the lady character there, this is like her living out her dream of being a pop star, and she gets to do it with a great message.
Well, yeah, who knows? Yeah, sure.
But at the same time, I have to wonder if these people are, because I saw some sentiment on social media of people saying like, this is probably some like anti-vaxxers trying to make it as cringe as possible, to make the pro. I
don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But it's so cringe that people were thinking maybe these are anti-vaxxers.
Well, that's part of the virality of it. If it wasn't so horrible, it wouldn't have gone viral. I mean, this gets spread over and over and over. They're reaching especially a large portion of the anti-vax community or vaccination hesitant community because it's so bad. I mean, that's a strategy. It reminds me of the trend of advertisements back in whenever I was in college. I would say maybe like 2007 through 2013. The trend of advertising, and you saw it in regular TV advertising, you saw it during the Super Bowls. It was this sort of low quality, weird trend. Do you remember this? The most famous of which that kind of kicked it off was the Quiznos commercial. Do you remember the Quiz?
I don't remember the
Quiznos kind of kicked it off, and it was so effective with my generation that it became like the prevailing trend in advertisement, which was to make it so bad and so low quality that you couldn't help but watch the whole thing. It was like a spectacle in its weirdness. And Quiznos had the eat Quiznos subs because it is good for us. It was like these little crazy furry creatures. Okay, look it up.
I have to look it up.
Yeah,
okay.
You do. It's the Eat Quiznos Subs commercial. And it's these little furry creatures, and they have weird human mouths, and the animation is horrible. And this was one of the first really famous, super horrible commercials that sort of defined that era of advertising.
Okay, so this is from 15 years ago. Let's take a look here.
We love these songs cause they are good to us. The Quiznos subs, they are tasty, they are crunchy, they are warm because they toast them.
This is a real commercial.
Quiznos new Santa Fe Trio subs with
Okay.
So I don't know if this exact one played during the Super Bowl, but
I don't remember any of this. What year is this? 2006?
Yeah, this was around 2006, 7, up to about 2012, 2013.
I just wasn't watching much TV at that point or something.
No. Well, and I was early out of high school going into college, that kind of thing. And this was it, man. And this was on the Super Bowl. They played stuff like this. Anyways, so the point of all of this is that the horribleness is the value that makes it go viral. You get more eyeballs on it. Now, the ironic thing about this Barbie girl or Pfizer girl commercial is that the original song, I'm a Barbie Girl, is satire. It's satire mocking the sort of, LA plastic surgery, Valley Girl type thing. Yeah, it was like an anti song. It was satire about the prevailing culture to show how stupid and horrible they are. And so it's just ironic that they are doing this promoting Pfizer, because, the vaccine culture or pro-vaccine ideology, and when I say pro-vaccine, I mean specifically mRNA COVID-19 vaccine, is the prevailing culture. It is the version of Barbie doll. The ideology is manufactured by the government and big corporations, and you just sort of do it because it's the cool thing to do, is to be a, young Pfizer vaccinated person.
Yeah. I feel like it's, if you have a scale, it's always a circular scale in my mind. But you go, you move towards satire, and then you just pass into reality. There's a certain threshold where you're still close to satire, but you're actually serious.
Totally.
It kind of bends back on itself,
It's the
I think
Ouroboros.
that's where it's the Ouroboros. Yeah. The serpent eating its own tail.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyways, there you go. If you missed it on your TikTok feed, everybody,
feeding all your data to Chinese servers.
Glad
I don't do the TikTok.
You're in the cool kid club now.
Yeah. This next clip is this was also shared on TikTok, so you get a feel for the range of things that are being shared on TikTok. This is supposedly
accepted.
Hold on, sorry. This is allegedly a video that was made in 1956 about the coronavirus. Let's take a listen here.
As the future certainly looks bright, but it isn't without its darker sides. According to some predictions, obesity will likely run rampant, and political corruption will become so commonplace as to be accepted. People with nothing entertaining or informative to say will broadcast their demands for attention, and once beloved performers will become pushers of snake oil. Perhaps worst of all will be the emergence of a deadly and potentially devastating disease. Think of the last time that you contracted influenza. You were likely bedridden for days, having no appetite or desire to play games. Experts predict that by the year 2020, a new virus will rise, spreading from somewhere in Asia to the rest of the world. And with international travel being available to even the most common citizen, a sickness which would have been contained in years past will quickly spread to all corners of the globe.
Here's what I think.
I
think that was not real.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad. I didn't want to shock you.
No. Because I had the suspicion earlier when I heard this with just my normal headphones, and then I wanted to verify it on air here. But yeah, I can hear the fake static, and the microphone does not sound like it's from the 1950s.
And the milieu. His voice is not
it's
the
not
voice
proper.
that was considered the good voice back then, the 50s. It was more of a nasally thing. If you had a good, loud, nasally voice, you were a good broadcaster.
Right.
Sort of like myself with my nasally voice.
You would have been a good 1950s broadcaster.
1950s broadcaster.
I would have been put in concentration camp. Or maybe no, not in the 50s. In the 50s, they would have just hated me.
True.
Well, they would have hated me in the 50s, but more so in the 40s, I guess, which when I would have been in the...
Oh, America.
Yeah.
You complicated,
America.
you complicated lady, you.
Yes, this is definitely... It's not a parody, but it's one of those like production pieces that somebody probably wanted to put together with some of the footage there. But,
yeah,
I don't mind it.
I guess that counts as the debunker bunker.
Debunker bunker, yeah.
Video debunked.
Yeah. But I will say that, it's not bad to have this kind of thing, unless it's for nefarious reasons to try to get people to share it and say
it's disinfo. It's misinfo.
Yeah, misinfo. And it's easy to debunk something like this, too.
And it also makes you look kind of silly if you post that in earnest.
Yeah. And whoever posted this.
Discrediting.
Yes.
Yeah. Who did post this?
I believe it was. And again, you can't read satire on this. This is
about
Sandra.
To put somebody.
Yeah. So this lady
blast.
on Twitter. I'll just say the lady on Twitter.
Okay.
It looks like she thought it was real. So.
Yeah. Well, she did think it was real. It's not. Sorry, Sandra.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We
I
have
this
a couple
cat very aggressively attacking my microphone.
Yeah. Well,
so excuse me for any. Oh. Oh my gosh.
Typical thing that happens on the show is.
Yeah.
You get attacked by cats. I get attacked by children. We have a couple emails to bring to you.
Sounds good. I will. Oh no, I had them pulled up.
Is that your cat purring?
Yeah. Yeah, he wants to get on air.
At least he's happy.
He's like, oh, you're going to read emails? I love emails.
The worst would be if they're not. I think the one that we're looking at first is on our Proton Mail, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why I can't find it. Yeah. Okay, give me a second here.
I think. I don't know. Maybe not. Oh, boy.
Oh, gosh. Oh, geez.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
All of our Rumble emails.
I know.
We signed up for Rumble right before we went on air today.
Is filled with verification emails.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see here.
No, I can't find it. Shoot.
Well, it was.
Oh, here we go. I got it.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So this is coming from the Elegant Hobo. Thank you, the Elegant Hobo, for sending this in. It's got an update from Canada. We were asking for some boots on the ground from Canada. Let's see what's going on regarding, the whole entire culture, but also vaccination, lockdowns, that kind of stuff. It reads like this. Well, B&G, I like that. We sound like an international oil company. Well, B&G, an update from Alberta. We have had U.S. troops here flying Black Hawk helis, checking out our medical facilities. Totally not normal, as the short and brief media coverage said it was relatively routine, but that's a load of bull hockey. The article stated these U.S. troops has to queue for 14 days. I think that's quarantine for 14 days prior to coming here, which would mean this was planned and in place before Ford and Trudeau started wanting provincial border crossing lockdowns and out-of-country flights stopped. Why U.S. troops are on our soil is a guess, but I'm thinking it's way worse than one may believe. More people are getting AstraZeneca shot here, and the numbers are going way up, and the human prion disease may just be this zombie apocalypse. People are taking the shot, people that are taking the shot are contracting COVID anyway. Yeah, imagine that. Same day as these U.S. troops show up, Alberta Health and Jason Kenney, our premier, put major restrictions and lockdowns into place effective ASAP. Oh, interesting. Same day the troops show up, they got put in lockdown. Hyperinflation is right around the corner and mobility is being threatened. If one gets a $1,000 plus fine for being in public and won't pay it, then they won't renew your license or auto plates and you will be stuck with it. Oh my gosh. With the Ontario Stasi government bringing in the Canadian military last week under the guise of helping old age homes. Wow. The Canadian military came in to help the old folks' homes. How gnarly are these Canadian old folks that the military needs to come in? It appears that the old folks are rebelling, and we need to stifle this rebellion. It appears since the RCMP refused to carry out Ford's mandate to give them the right to stop anyone at any time for any reason, that's that legislation that we talked about a couple episodes ago, the shows your papers.
Yeah.
The military was brought in, and when they refused to carry out those plans, I fear the setup is to bring in UN troops. That's always a concern. New military vehicle has been videotaped running across the railways for a year. We've seen a lot of those. And may I add, Gates owns massive shares in CN Rail here in Canada. Curfews here are starting today under the clause that further restrictions coming if curfews don't reduce COVID number. That's so interesting. If the curfews aren't lowering COVID number, you should just figure something else out, not make it worse. And we all know, of course, they won't. LOL. It's silly to think a virus has to go to bed at 10 p.m. Liquor stores and others are scanning ID card allegedly to prevent robberies. What? When we all know why this is. To date, I have yet to wear a mask and won't. Pray, fellas, it's going down soon, I fear. The Elegant Hobo. And then he sent some links for us to take a look at. That is strange. Have you heard of that, Guns? The liquor stores and others are scanning ID allegedly to prevent robberies?
No, I haven't, but that's really strange because what are you going to do? Like, scan the ID and then what if somebody's
rob.
still deciding?
And then pull out a gun.
Like,
I had a really interesting thing happen recently that is right along these lines. I sent some FedEx packages and I was sending them across the country, and they asked for my driver's license at the FedEx store. And they scanned it with their little scanner. And I was like, that's weird. I've never had to pull out an ID to mail something before. And I asked the lady, like, oh, what is this for? This is new. She's like, oh, somebody tried to send a bomb.
So nonchalant.
Yeah, it was way too quick of a response, A. And B, people have been trying to send bombs through the mail forever.
Yeah,
like that is not
thing.
A brand new thing. If that was going to be, if you've had reason to do that for decades, why do it now? My spirit did not believe her when he said that, because who's going to question that,
Sure.
Oh, somebody tried to set a bomb, so now we need to, scan everybody for every package. I don't know. It was just weird.
Suspicious.
Yeah, it was just suspicious. So anyways, doesn't sound like things are going that great up in Canada. Elegant Hobo, we'll be praying for you and all of our other Canadian producers up there. Strange the U.S. military coming to check out the medical facilities, especially concerning because, Canada has their quarantine camps and stuff, the real, FEMA camps that we talk about down here. Or maybe the Blackhawks are related to the Chinese troops training up there. Who knows?
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff to come out of Canada recently, and it's actually this guy in Canada here?
Nazis are not welcome here.
I mean, that's the attitude you have to really combat this thing, it seems like.
Yeah. Another video came out from that guy. Did you see that?
Yeah. They came
kind
back.
Of more of the same stuff. He's just holding his ground, making it work.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of which, he did mention the prion disease.
Right. Yes. And we have another note here that we wanted to share from Numati. He's our resident producer. What is he? A biologist?
Microbiologist for 25 plus years.
Yes. And this has to do with the story that, whoa. You
Cats.
okay over there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I had an itch in my eye. I thought maybe the cat reached through the interwebs and gave me a fuzzball in my eyeball. But it has to do with the. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick here. Okay. We reported on a story. It actually wasn't a story. It was oh gosh, I'm trying to do three things at once.
It was the research paper.
Yes,
that
the
came
research
from,
paper.
And and I did mention a few times because I was suspecting this to be the case. Oh gosh, the cat is touching the camera. All right, you go through it. I got to protect my livelihood.
So the paper was titled the COVID. Hold on, let me show it on the screen for people to be able to see it. COVID-19 RNA-based vaccines and the risk of prion disease. And we didn't mention it in the show, but within the document, the results, it says the analysis of the Pfizer vaccine against COVID-19 identified 2 potential risk factors for inducing prion disease in humans. And it also mentions at the very end here, the fact that this research, which could be used for bioweapons development, is funded by private organizations, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Ellison Medical Foundation, without national international oversight, is also a concern. So, name dropping some people in there. But of course, we have our resident microbiologist, not necessarily set us straight, but at least share his info here. He says, "Gents, I had sent this email to you a few weeks ago when the, quote, vax causes prion disease story was originally circulating. I see you covered it on Wednesday when watching the replay last night. I think this paper is stretching the science, either intentionally or out of ignorance. Another point, there was no actual lab research in the paper. It was all computer modeling of protein folding. And we all know how accurate models can be. GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. And that's a good point, that a lot of climate stuff that people peddle, it's
Al all based on computer models, which are notoriously not very good. And you know what else was a computer model?
COVID-19, the whole pandemic.
Right. Yeah. They were the
Event
computer
201,
models.
the whole deal.
Well, there was that, but there was also the models that were expecting 2 million deaths.
Oh, right. What was his name? The guy who he was on Rogan and stuff too, right? I mean, just out there.
Oh, I forget that. I just remember it was computer models are predicting 2 million deaths from COVID.
Yeah, in America, right? Not
in
worldwide.
America, yeah.
He goes on. Also, Sci-Vision Publishing is now listed on the suspected, quote, predatory journal list. Essentially, a pay-to-publish journal without solid peer review, regardless of what they state in their About page. If you pay, they will publish whether the paper is scientifically sound or not. So,
yeah,
I did not know that. That's a good point.
Yeah, that is a concern. We're very aware of the issues with the publishing industry and
the industry itself.
Yeah, pretty much the industry itself. If you write a scientific paper, you can just pay to have it put out into journals and doesn't need to necessarily be peer reviewed and stuff.
Yeah, the potential predatory scholarly open access publishers. This is a huge list, by the way. This is not a short list. This is like a ginormous list of publishing platforms. So, I mean, okay. I mean, I guess there's a lot of predatory journals.
Well, it just goes to show like how messed up the scientism situation is.
Yeah, because keeping in mind that, you know, it can work both ways. Like this one is very much affirming of the anti-vax narrative, right? But it can also be the other way where scientific paper can be shared by whoever that are really pro-vax. You know,
yeah,
so.
it often is. And in the past, we've actually shared a couple of those before. So
yeah, he finishes up here again. I'm not in favor of the mRNA or J&J adenoviral DNA. Vax is just trying to keep it real and based on facts, not scaremongering. So there you go.
Yeah, no, and we appreciate that because that's, you know, we like being, that's part of the value for value model is we have experts in fields in different industries all over the world and they keep us honest, you know? Yeah. So if you're an expert out there and in some sort of industry, it's your job as a producer to keep us honest about stuff. And we're very thankful for Numati for keeping us honest. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, whether or not the info in that paper was true or factual or whatever, you know, the whole scientific paper industry is very difficult to navigate. I mean, especially we saw it at the beginning of the pandemic when the Lancet, oh my gosh, this cat is attacking my hand. The Lancet, which is one of the most famous and used to be like one of the most credible journals, got just eviscerated in the media because they said something, I think, questioning the efficacy of masks, and they just got brutalized. And they're like one of the oldest, most respected medical journals. And so it's just an example of how the whole industry is, you know, and I mean, you could wrap it up just by pointing out scientism versus science, where scientism is sort of the religion around science that you cannot question the official narrative or else you are impure and you must be cast out to the outer darkness.
Well, Fauci says it best.
Science is truth.
Just listen to Fauci. Right. Daddy Fauci will let us know the truth.
Speaking of science,
speaking of science,
I have an article here for you because we all know that vaccinations are available to any adult who wants one, and vaccination rates are falling and yada, yada, yada. But COVID is still going to kill you. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill your mom. It's going to kill your kids. And I got this article from ABC News here, and the headline is COVID burden shifts to younger Americans with older generations getting vaccinated. They did change this headline within a 15-minute period before the show started. The original headline was something to the effect of why younger Americans are having severe COVID. So that originally the headline was trying to give a reason And now they changed it to this. COVID burden shifts to younger Americans with older generations vaccinated. Now, this is going to be a media breakdown here, so bear with me. With vaccination totals increasing and coronavirus cases declining across the country, many Americans are feeling a newfound sense of hope that perhaps there is finally a light at the end of the tunnel. However, health and government officials across the country are continuing to warn that the virus is still spreading among unvaccinated populations, and vaccinated populations, but they don't mention that, with a larger share of younger Americans becoming infected and in some cases hospitalized with severe cases of the virus. Okay, a larger share of young Americans becoming infected and in some cases hospitalized with severe cases of the virus. Now, the original the OG COVID hospitalization rate ranges between 1% and 5% of people being hospitalized who catch the disease, mostly older people. And notice they give no answers, no numbers connected to this comment. They're just saying, yeah, in some cases, they're hospitalized with severe cases of the virus. Of course, yes. We're a year and a half into this pandemic. We know in some cases you got to go to the hospital.
In some cases, people get hospitalized for scraping their knees.
Right. In some cases, people get hospitalized for, tripping while mowing their lawn. But okay. However, health and government officials across the country are continuing. Nope, I already read that. For the first time, patients between. Okay.
This range is just wild.
This is great. For the first time, patients between the ages of 18 and 64 now account for the largest cohort of the 37,000 total patients currently hospitalized with the virus. Okay, now look, we know that throughout the pandemic, people over 65 were most at risk, but the range of 18 to 64 is
46.
Quite a big range.
46-year range.
46-year
decade range.
And this is the range that they are calling younger Americans. When they say younger Americans, they literally mean anyone under 64. Which, look, it's 2021, It's 64 is the new 64 is the new 30. So
it keeps changing. I can't keep up with the new numbers.
Yeah, I know. 64-year-olds are young, man. Anyways, let's keep going. For the first time, patients between the ages of 18 and 64 now account for the largest cohort of the 37,000 total patients currently hospitalized with the virus. With more older Americans vaccinated, this marks the third week that the number of hospitalized individuals in the 65 and older age group has been smaller than both the 18 to 49 and the 50 to 64 age groups. Okay, keep following. Quote, hospitals are seeing more and more younger adults, those in their 30s and 40s, admitted with severe disease. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the Director of Doom.
Director of Doom.
Reported during a press briefing this month.
Earlier this month, that was the Doom presser, wasn't it?
I don't know which one they're specifically referring to, but yeah, it could be. Experts say the exact reason behind this trend is unclear, but could include the rise of variants, relaxed attitudes towards distancing, and other mitigation measures. A younger population that is not yet fully vaccinated, and vaccine hesitancy. It could also be merely more younger people getting the disease. That is the most insane paragraph I've ever read. Yeah, well, I mean, these younger people are getting infected. It could be the variants, could be relaxed attitudes towards distancing and mitigation measures, could be the younger population is not fully vaccinated and their vaccine hesitancy. It could also merely be more young people getting the disease. It's so stupid. There's nothing to say about it. It's just stupid. Even though not all hospitalizations are the result of severe illness, state officials say the trend is worrying. What? I know.
So why are they in the hospital if it's not for severe illness?
I don't know.
Oh, I think I know. They're probably psychologically traumatized with all the media telling them. So they're in there for anxiety attacks.
This is that's not actually a bad panel analysis. Yeah. Quote, there's a very sharp increase, it appears, in younger adults. These are largely people who think that their age is protecting them from getting very sick from COVID-19. That is not happening, Cassie Sauer, CEO and president of the Washington State Hospital Association, said during a press conference on Monday.
She is sour.
Yeah. I don't think anybody thinks that their age per se is protecting them, but all right.
I'm 18. I'm protected.
Yeah. I mean, it makes as much sense as, got to be at home by 10 because COVID can get you at 10. Obey curfew. Oh, COVID can't get me if I'm 18.
This next segment is titled Mind Boggling.
Oh, you're going to love this.
It's Dr.
Chris Baliga, an infectious disease physician from the Virginia Mason Franciscan Health in Washington State, reported earlier this week that he has seen more patients under the age of 40 than at any other time in the pandemic, while noting that these younger patients appeared to be coming in sicker than before. Quote, 40% of our cases were under the age of 40, which is mind-boggling to me. It's like when your mind is in a boggle. We never saw that earlier in the pandemic, Baliga said during a briefing on Monday. This trend, according to experts, may be the result of a number of factors. Now,
what factors?
Real quick, before we get in there, his mind is boggled by the fact that
I was going to say,
that more young people are coming in. Do you remember in pretty much all of 2020, if you were under 65 and even if you caught COVID, Anthony Fauci, Daddy Fauci specifically telling you not to go to the hospital. The hospitals are overwhelmed. If you're under 40, don't go to the hospital unless you're dying and you're turning blue and you can't breathe. Don't come to the hospital. Just wait it out. Be sick in your home, quarantine. They were specifically telling young people not to go to the hospital.
Right.
So, of course, you didn't see a lot of young people. And of course, we know that, the disease generally doesn't affect young people in the same way it does old people. Right. But anyways, there's the mind-boggling answer for this guy. Young people didn't come in because you told them not to come in. Moving on. Dr. Katie Scharf, an infectious disease expert at Kaiser Permanente, told ABC News that one of the driving factors may be simply more young people are becoming infected. And with that, inevitably, there will be more severe cases. This is the first time that a level-headed, clear-thinking, logical adult says a single word that makes any sense.
But it's also not really that compelling. It's very It's like an obvious thing that if there's more people coming in sick, maybe they're getting infected.
Yeah, exactly the point. Exactly the point. If maybe there's just simply more people coming in, more young people coming in.
I know what this is.
Because they're not going to be shamed by Daddy Fauci. And yes, they're infected. They're going to come in.
And this could be a large conspiracy to pump up the PCR, CT, what was it? The threshold,
the count, the cycle threshold,
threshold to a particular age group to dial up the number of people that would freak out that they have it, that they tested positive.
I mean, that's definitely in this whole process. It's unspoken, but yes, we know.
I was going to say
it's not.
There. It's probably not mentioned, but it's probably closer to what's really going on here with people thinking that they're, especially if they're going in there not because they have severe cases. Well, they're just going in there,
Yeah, I mean, refer back to the part of the article that said, "Oh, but many of them aren't coming in because of severe sickness," and you don't tell us why they are coming in. You're just okay. But here we go. While earlier in the pandemic, the disease was affecting predominantly older adults, currently, now they're basing this off of hospitalization rates. I've already given you the reason why young people weren't going to the hospital. While earlier in the pandemic, the disease was affecting predominantly older adults, currently, coronavirus infections among Americans 18 to 54 account for the highest proportion of new cases per 100,000 residents. So again, we've got a brand new age group here that they're just throwing in here. This is similar to that article from England that we read a couple episodes ago that was just throwing around so many different statistics, so many different age ranges. It's just impossible to follow. So now we're talking about the age range 18 to 54. Account for the highest proportion of new cases per 100,000 residents. Dude, I might have to pause my video for a second and kick this cat out of the office. It is doing some serious damage. I'll try to make it through this article. Sharf, too, said she has seen more patients in her Oregon hospital between the ages of 40 and 50 requiring hospitalization, with some patients as young as 30 ending up in the ICU, and a lower percentage have had to be placed on mechanical ventilation. Guns, a lower percentage.
My mind is boggled at this article. My brain doesn't compute. It's like saying a lot of words.
Of course, a lower percentage have been placed on mechanical ventilation. Why are you? It's like there's an IV of just pure AI generated words being dripped into my brain.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to say.
In Oregon, daily COVID-19 cases have doubled, and the number of patients hospitalized with the virus has surged by 106%. Okay, Gons, what's 106% of, 10 people?
21, I'm going to guess.
Something like that. Yeah, 21, 22, I think. Or something. I don't know. Now I can't do live math, but you get it. When they give just a percentage, when they say it's double.
100% is double. So yeah, it makes it sound like, oh my gosh, 106%, more than 100%.
No firm numbers. Again, just an ambiguous cloud of information. They're sort of wafting in our direction, hoping that it instills fear. Quote, if you have that many more young people, how many more? You haven't given me a number.
106% more.
If you have that many more young people getting infected, there will at least be a subset who develop severe disease.
It could be 2 people. And now it's 4, 106%.
And then there's
4 plus their cat.
Ridiculous statement. If
6%.
you have more people getting infected, there will be some subset that will get more severe disease, Sharf explained. Although some patients have pre-existing medical conditions like obesity.
Obesity. 75% of those who have died, quotations, with COVID were obese, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
Yeah, some crazy high number. But listen to this whole thing. Although some patients have pre-existing medical conditions like obesity, no number attached to that, by the way, what has been, quote, really striking with this surge is that not all younger patients needing care have concerning medical conditions that put them at high risk. All is the number. Not all of them have. So what is it? If it's not all, is it 1% that don't have concerning medical conditions? Is it 0.5%? What is it? No. Ambiguous cloud of confusing information.
Although some patients have,
not all.
Not all patients have. Not all younger patients. Okay, all right. Well, they're trying to confuse everybody.
They can't even put into numbers how afraid we should be.
Yeah.
And it's because math is racist, Gons. Oh my gosh.
Your cat is clearly...
Dude, I don't know. He is on a tear right now. He is just destroying
Just
things.
protect that painting of your granddad or whoever.
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be on fire in a couple of seconds. All right. I'm just going to zoom through. This is an extremely long thing, and we can't just sit here. And I think we've made the point, which is they're trying to scare young people. Yes, more young people are going to the hospital, but we can't give you any useful numbers or information. Just trust us. Here's a very long article with a lot of vague information. You just need to be scared and get your vaccination.
There's a quote in here from Scharf. It says, in previous surges, the majority of our patients were elderly and had chronic medical conditions. We're seeing less of the very elderly population, and I think that really speaks to the efficacy of the vaccines. Is that really how do you know that that's the vaccines working? And not it's just they either killed the older population or they're just not getting it. They're just, I don't know.
That's the point. Right. That was actually one I had highlighted because, again, it's just jumping to conclusions, just happens to be the conclusions that serve the message of the authorities, which is, I just see less young people. So vaccines must be working. There was also a great... Let me try. I might scroll through and try to find it. There's a great quote as well that was, it was just very confusing. It was like, oh yeah, before there was less young people coming in because they were just staying at home sick. So get your vaccine.
Okay.
I know. I want to find it so we can actually.
Was it the very last? I don't know. Can't find it.
Yeah, I know. It's a very long article and it's just filled with all this nonsense. So anyways, there you go. They failed to make a good enough case for me to believe that. And the other point of this was that this is in response to the Joe Rogan clip.
Oh, right.
The Joe Rogan on a recent episode, made a big deal about saying, if a young person asks me, should I get the vaccine? Then
if you're healthy, then
are
no.
you healthy? Do you work out? Do you take supplements? Then no. Yeah, I don't think you need the vaccine.
Do you know what his excuse was or his answer to the criticism was?
No.
I talk multiple hours a day and I'm stoned and drunk half the time. So I don't even know. I say things against what I say myself.
That's his defense for a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's kind of his general. And I think that's actually very smart of him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't try to set himself up as some sort of expert. He gets to play that sort of jester role and say whatever
he's just a
wants.
host. He just says, I just say things.
Yeah.
We just, we have a good time, whatever.
I'm drunk and high. I just talk. What are you going to expect? Which, to be fair, is a great way to slam dunk on these reporters who so desperately want to hold his feet to the fire on everything he says.
Yeah, but also he has to go on an apology tour and
I don't think he does that anymore.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
Well, he gets paid well to do it. So, anyway.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to cover up my camera for a second. I'm going to go let this cat out because it's driving me nuts.
We're going to get into, I'll play this report because the last two stories we have from the WACCINE section has to do with the trend here of it's almost like the pendulum is just swinging so hard between right, left, pro-vax, anti-vax, and it's interesting because the whole divide and conquer and concur, if you looked at the title of this episode, concur meaning, to agree with an opinion or a belief. It's interesting to see the divisions taking place here. And in that regard, this first story here, it's actually a video clip. I don't know if we'll play the whole thing here, but basically a silver shop decided that they're not going to allow people who wear they banned masks. Great. and they are preventing vaccinated people from entering the store. So let's hear this report here.
At the Sun City Silver and Gold Exchange on Bernard Avenue in Kelowna, they're taking a contrary position on COVID-19. First of all, as the sign reads, no face masks allowed. And if you've taken any COVID vaccine, no entry.
Well, initially, the no masks were to protect us. There's live inventory in here, real silver and gold inventory. And allowing someone in the store with a mask who can't be seen on the CTV seems like a bit of a contradiction.
So it's a security thing.
Well, mainly. I mean, I'm against masks. I don't wear a mask anywhere. I don't want to harm my immune system with a mask or breathe into a mucus-filled, saliva-filled petri dish. So personally, I'm against masks. I think they're ridiculous.
So you won't let someone in your shop if you've heard they've had the vaccine? How does that affect you?
Well, it's actually been a boon to business. Since the masking sign went up, I've probably had close to $1 million worth of new orders from people who want to do business with someone who thinks like we do.
So it's a niche market.
Well, very much so. People who are doing their own homework with respect to vaccines or masks also, historically, are the type of people who do their own homework with regards to the monetary system.
Oh, gosh. So loud.
And they've come to the conclusion that protecting their savings or protecting some of their assets in a bank with physical silver and gold is a good idea.
So your policies, as stated in these signs that you've just described, do run kind of contrary to what our health authorities are asking. Have you had any pushback from the authorities against what you're doing?
No, not at all. The health authorities have proven themselves to be dumbasses.
Oop. Sorry about that. Forgot that he
makes
says
a
how
great
it is,
point.
although the donkey is definitely in the Bible, so it's not the worst thing to be said on our family-friendly program here. But yeah, so this guy here, no masks allowed. Vaccinated people are not allowed to enter the store. Kind of a jujitsu move, a counter move. And, that's going to appeal to, especially if you're a silver and gold guy.
He is speaking directly to his main clientele.
Oh, and I like how the interview right here was like, oh, so it's a niche client. It's like, I guess, but it's only niche if you think that everything being told to you by the scientific pillars of, the Daddy Faucis of the world is 100% true. In reality, I think a lot more people are on the side of, hey, this whole thing is ridiculous. All the lockdowns and the masks and the get your jab or you can't go anywhere and the passports and all, it's ridiculous. So I think it's on one hand, great thing. On the other hand, I feel like it's becoming weaponized. Like even this side of the argument is being weaponized in a sense that, oh, these are the crazy people. Look at them. They're, the silver and the gold. He does make a good point though. He's like, hey, we have live physical gold and silver. We need to know who's coming into our stores. And if they're wearing masks, our CT cameras are no good. So it's kind of hey, good point.
There's a lot of logic behind it.
That's a lot of logic for sure.
And I want to talk about the broader movement of this, but I think first we should read this next article.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. This is coming from The Hill. It's going to kind of tie in. The headline is Teacher at Private Miami School Tells Students Not to Hug Vaccinated Parents for More Than 5 Seconds. A Florida school that recently found itself in hot water after it told vaccinated employees they could not be around students, citing false COVID claims, is facing scrutiny again after a student said a teacher warned them about hugging their vaccinated parents for longer than 5 seconds. A 10-year-old student at Centner Academy, a private school in Miami, said a 5th grade math and science teacher at the school, so we know he's a racist, during a class Wednesday warned the students about hugging their parents, CBS Miami reports. Now keep in mind, this is a science teacher. I wonder what if this was in context of some sort of science lesson or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. Shortly after, the student wrote an email to her mother. Weird way to talk to your mom. Dear mother, I hope this email finds you well.
I cannot hug you. He's probably emailing from the other room, or like on the couch
yes.
while she's cooking in the kitchen or something.
Shortly after, the student wrote an email to her mother about the incident on her laptop. Good details, good reporting. In the message, which was obtained by the news station, the girl wrote, quote, "Hola, mami. The teacher is telling us to stay away from you guys and not hug you for more than 5 seconds. It's a girl science teacher. Dun, dun, dun. Take that, patriarchy. She is also saying we should not get the COVID vaccine." The child's mother told the station she didn't, quote, "have words to describe how my stomach dropped when I saw her email." Well, you have some words you did just use to describe it.
You did explain it with the stomach dropping.
I'm not here to anyways.
I had no words. Okay, go on.
The report comes after the school drew criticism earlier this week over reports that Layla Sentner, a co-founder of the academy, recently sent out a letter to employees telling them they would not be allowed to be around students if they received the coronavirus vaccine. In the letter, she pointed to reports she claimed, quote, surfaced recently of non-vaccinated people being negatively impacted by interacting with people who have been vaccinated. Quote, "Even among our own population, we have at least 3 women with menstrual cycles impacted after having spent time with a vaccinated person," she stated. Medical experts have continued to debunk false claims, alleging that coronavirus vaccines could be transferred from those who have received the shot to those who have not. That's not what the claim is, but okay. The Centers for Disease Control, again, the straw man argument blatantly laid out there. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has also told people that COVID-19 vaccines are safe and encouraged Americans receive the vaccine as soon as they are eligible. So far, according to the agency, millions have received the vaccines under what the CDC has called the most intense safety monitoring in U.S. history. Yeah. CBS Miami reported that Sentner confirmed the teacher did caution the students about hugging their vaccinated parents. However, she added in a statement to the station that the teacher went against school policy by doing so. Oh, they're throwing the teacher under the bus. Quote, "Today, one teacher offered specific advice to students regarding the COVID-19 injection." Ooh, listen to that wording. It's the COVID-19 injection, not the vaccine. "We are appalled at this. It was against our policy, and the teacher has recognized and acknowledged her mistake," she told the station. Quote, "The teacher has retracted her comments and apologized to the class and the parents involved," she added. The child's mother said the teacher has also since called her family to apologize for the incident. Her father told the station the incident was one, quote, "that probably doesn't occur if this was a school that wasn't pushing a particular viewpoint." No kidding. That's kind of how school works. Quote, "This was not the school we signed up for," he said, while taking aim at Sentner for taking what he described as an increasingly hard-line stance against vaccines in recent weeks. Quote, "She never thought about the impact this was going to have on families. She just kept telling the teachers and the staff who had been there for years, well, if you don't like my position, this isn't the place for you. Well, where does that leave the parents?" he said. Interesting. If you don't like my position, this isn't the place for you, seems to be a pretty common refrain on the left side of things as well. But this guy doesn't like it. Last month, the school published a bulletin on its website titled "Medical Freedom from Mandated Vaccines," which told parents, quote, "Your son or daughter may not be able to attend their first day of school until they are fully vaccinated. While these regulations were established to help protect all children, the amount of unknown risks associated with vaccinations will have you seriously second-guessing whether this policy should be upheld." The month before that bulletin, the school founders also had anti-vaccine activist Robert F. Kennedy Jr. come speak to the students, according to the New York Times. The visit came the same month Kennedy saw his Instagram account taken down over his anti-vaccine advocacy and coronavirus claims. Now, before we go on into the broader picture, I think it's interesting how Robert F. Kennedy having his Instagram account taken down is like a credential it's a credential to his evilness. Well, if Instagram took down his account for his anti-vaccine advocacy, then why is he talking at our schools? Which puts Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg sort of in this truth credentialing area. I mean, if by that logic, you and I should be able to, go from school to school giving seminars because our Instagram is not taken down.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, there's a lot going on here. First of all, I think I'll start off with what you alluded to before, which with the mandated vaccines, the vaccine passports, coming from the position of the government and gov lovers, is creating the two-caste system. The vaccinated and unvaccinated, having different rights and different abilities to live their lives and different access to, the public. But what we see here, along with the silver store, is that it's kind of starting to happen the other way. And one way to look at it is, just sort of a natural pushback from those who are getting pushed around by the mainstream. Whereas, hey, you're not going to let me go on a plane without my vaccine passport. Fine. You can't buy silver, or you can't come to our school if you have your vaccine passport, which is sort of might be something to cheer from people on the vaccine hesitant side. In fact, I mean, it is something that has been cheered from that side, which is understandable because, giving them a little taste of their own medicine, exercising the ability to also make choices about your own business or school or whatever. But I'm a little concerned about the further division being created by this, because it's really just enhancing the caste system idea. And this is something that's worried me quite a bit when it specifically comes to conservatives and the right, is when given the chance, they love to give the left a taste of its own medicine, which feels good and has a, sort of a revenge aspect to it or whatever. But at the same time plays into the same broad trend, which is always division, which looks like the two caste system. Because what is the best way to create a two caste system between vaccinated and unvaccinated? It's not just to convince the left and the corporate America that it needs to be done, but it's to convince the right as well. And when the right falls into this trap, it's almost guaranteeing the reality of the two caste system.
Yes.
It's like giving consent to this two caste system that was complained about before, but then, when you start to act it out and cheer it, you're agreeing with it. You're consenting with it.
Right. I do want to highlight something you mentioned about the straw man. You said medical experts have continued to debunk false claims alleging that coronavirus vaccines could be transferred from those who have received the shot to others who have not. And I'm looking. I wanted to dig into just real briefly here where they're getting that from. And apparently there is a Pfizer document I will show on screen here. Exposure. This is it's a longer document. What is it called here? It is called this is a huge document. Pfizer phase 1, 2, 3 placebo-controlled randomized observed blind blah, blah, blah. It's a BioNTech Pfizer paper.
Okay.
And on page 67, going into 68, hold on, I gotta scroll back. There's a section about pregnant women here. And it says, almost there. Okay. It says exposure during pregnancy. A female is found to be pregnant while being exposed or having been exposed to study intervention due to environmental exposure. Below are examples of environmental exposure during pregnancy. Female and family member or healthcare provider reports that she is pregnant after having been exposed to the study intervention by inhalation or skin contact. A male family member or healthcare provider who has been exposed to the study intervention by inhalation or skin contact then exposes his female partner prior to or around the time of conception. I don't think this is talking about the virus. I think this is talking about the vaccine.
What is that was a little unclear. So
that's what I'm trying to figure out for
contact?
Sure. Yes.
Here's how I understand it, and maybe you have a little bit more understanding because you have the document right in front of me. There is a concern, and it was referenced in this article, that a vaccinated person, and this was specifically referenced with the menstruation thing,
right?
Where an unvaccinated person is having weird side effects by being around a vaccinated person. The prevailing theory that I've come in contact is not that the vaccine is being transferred
right.
to another person, but when a vaccinated person is vaccinated, they get the little signal, their DNA or the RNA goes in and sends the message, and then their body starts creating the spike protein itself. It turns the body into a little spike protein factory.
Right. And the pheromones
and then there's something about the change that happens in the body. Yes, whether it's pheromones or shedding of the spike protein or something like that, that may shed and get spread to some, because, if your body is creating an overwhelming amount of the spike protein, and your body's a very complicated system. There's hormones, there's pheromones, there's all these things that, happen all the time. It doesn't just happen when you have a vaccine. We're all sort of have these chemical signals coming off of us that are being influenced by other people, or that may or may not influence other people's bodies in different ways. So the concern that I've seen is that vaccinated people with this brand new sort of operating system running in their body sends some kind of chemical signal. Maybe it's shedding of the spike protein. Maybe it's a new pheromone. It's something that is affecting unvaccinated people. And this is a very connected and broad theory going on, and there's some big influencers or whatever who are talking about it. But that's the concern I've seen. What they said in this article is that the vaccine is spreading to other people, as if the mRNA is just sort of coming out of your pores and jumping to somebody else. Yes. So that's what I mean by straw man. It was misrepresenting what the prevailing theory is, not that, so there you go.
Okay. I do want to mention that there is a popsci.com article that was published on June 5th of 2017. And this is Popular Science. Vaccines of the future could be as contagious as viruses.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't help.
When did this come out in Popular Science?
What is that?
When did this come out?
2017, June.
Interesting.
The WHO is switching to a vaccine that has only the 2 safer strains. I couldn't read through the whole thing here, obviously, but there's a section here by bedeviling HIV. These TIPs would lower the amount of virus circulation in a person's blood. They should prevent them from spreading HIV to other people and slow the progression of HIV to full-blown AIDS. These defective particles will be transmissible to new people. The TIPs can't replicate without HIV. If so, they spread to someone who doesn't have HIV. They may die out, but it's possible that they would, if they stick around, ready to spring into action if that person became infected in the future. I was trying to find the actual, part of this that really mentions how a vaccine can literally be transmitted.
Yeah, it can be contagious.
Right. These transmissible, the vaccines today are pretty incredible. Eradicated smallpox, blah, blah, blah. When enough people get vaccinated, infectious disease can't spread as easily as everyone benefits from herd immunity. But it's hard to reach enough people for this to happen, especially in areas of poor public health infrastructure. So scientists are taking a leaf from the virus playbook. They're devising vaccines and antiviral therapies that can spread from host to host.
Oh, that is very interesting.
Yeah, that is crazy. That
we should put that in the document. I want to be able to get back to that.
Well, the thing that's weird is that if this could be why they're pushing so hard for everyone to get vaccinated. Maybe there's something in this vaccine that really, if you get enough people, their definition of herd immunity is not protection from C19, but a proper amount of spread of this mRNA thing going on with the spike protein.
And here's the interesting thing about it. I want to be very clear. I have just recently come in contact with this theory and this set of information. I'm not saying that this is, I don't have enough evidence to say that this is the case or to have a strong enough, conviction to tell anybody it's the case. We're just reporting that this is what's floating around. But it does make sense in my layman's understanding of all of this. I'm not a professional. I spend a lot of time looking at it, as do you, Gons, but we're not professional medical people. But even, I've heard a lot of people talking about the pheromones and the hormones, and we really just don't know what's going on there. And I'm so far away from knowing that it's not even worth talking about, really. But the idea that, you have these bodies that are getting turned into indefinite spike protein factories, those are vaccinated people.
But yeah.
And that, you could shed these spike proteins, again, not necessarily attached to the COVID virus, but these spike proteins start shedding from you as lots of things do through breathing and coughing and whatever. That then, somebody could get a big enough dose of these spike proteins into another person to activate an immune response. I don't know. I mean, in my layman's understanding, it seems like a possibility. Whether or not that's the mechanism, I don't know. But I mean, it seems viable, which is why I think this idea is kind of catching on. And right. I've not seen a whole lot of response to it.
Well, just kind of rounding back to the original point here that you had about the article and sort of the taking it too far in terms of banning with the silver guy, people who got vaccinated or whatever it might be. I think you're right in that this, whatever you do, it's going to be used by media to create the division even more and to continue to really proselytize the people that don't have it and make them seem as crazy as possible.
Right.
And, it's one of those things where socially that's not good. Politically that's not good because it's obviously being used for political purposes. And, I think all of this ultimately is leading us right into, and because we've talked about how it's directly the mark of the beast or not, either way, this is, I think, without a doubt, the beginning of marching straight into the transhumanist era. It's directly marching into a genetically modified human era. And they almost are trying to make it so that people who don't agree with it are lesser humans. I mean, it's a crude way of saying it, but I think really that's what they're trying to do here. And you can really fall into it by, doing things like this guy in the silver shop did, or this teacher did. And I think the one thing that's, and you might have mentioned it, which is that when it's a teacher, when it has to do with little kids and splitting their kids with their parents and stuff like that, and creating that division, you're going to be a target for sure. Yeah. But I will say, and I know it's not the exact context, but the Bible does mention how in the end times, brothers and sisters and parents and sons and daughters, and they're all going to be fighting. So,
yeah. I do want to mention, N. Numati has been making comments about this. I'm still going back and reading them. N. Numati, our microbiologist, he does say there was an episode of Star Trek Next Generation where a DNA vaccine was given to one person and it spread to everyone on the Enterprise just in the air, leading to de-evolution of each crew member. So
there you go. Well, Star Trek.
So if it was on Star Trek,
we know it's true. Because they had Mark Zuckerberg play Data.
There's been lots of prophecies come through Star Trek to come true. Flip phones being one of them.
And talking screens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've gotten through all the main sections here. Let's take a quick break and then thank some people, and then we got just a handful of stories on the other side, and we'll call it an episode.
Okay, let's do it. Let's take a quick break.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Okay, time to take a quick break, everybody. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're going to be talking about some events in Israel there. We got a beast system update, some GMO stuff. Oh, and Space Force has put out a new statement, so we got to check in with Space Force and cyborgs of the future. And the IRS is also recruiting hackers. So any hackers out there, you're going to want to hear about your new job opportunity. And then, of course, we'll take out the show with some deep fake updates at the end of the show. So stick around, folks. We got a lot of great show still to go. But before that, we want to thank some producers. That's right. I said producers because we are on the value for value money. We take no...
I mean, it's not entirely wrong, but it's
when my brain moves faster than my mouth. Yeah. It's because it's the value for value system, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. Because every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship, according to Adam Curry of the No Agenda Show. And here's the thing, folks. You might notice we have no advertisements on the show, no affiliate codes, no vitamin super ubermensch nutrient supplements, nothing like that, folks. We are simply on the value for value system. What does that mean? Well, it's simple. It means that we have decided to turn our back on the global theology of advertising. Lots of media on the internet is funded by advertising, but the fact of the matter is advertising is, I'll just say it, is evil. It's all wrapped up in mind control, convincing people they have problems they don't have and selling them the solutions to those problems. You might know it as the Hegelian dialectic. In fact, advertising is so corrupted that the U.S. government is a huge fan. And we just figured if we were going to continue doing the show, there would be no way that we could sleep at night if we continued to propagate the dark agenda of the advertising industry, which compels creators like Gons and I to package up the trust and attention and the time of our listeners, load it onto a truck, and ship it off like cattle to advertising industries so they can use it for their own personal gain. In fact, advertising is 99% of the profits of companies like Facebook and Google and all the big tech beast system monarchs. And it just doesn't feel right for us to participate in that as well. So the value for value system is not just a way for us to disconnect from the control mechanism of advertising, but it's also a way for you, dear listener, to disconnect as well, to join the rebellion against the mind control establishment and the monetization of your time and attention, which they have, they've convinced you. They've convinced a lot of us that our time and our attention and our trust is not worth that much, that we can just give it away and not expect anything back for it, and we can just let them benefit and profit off of it. And that's unfortunately one of the big lies of our society nowadays. Your time and attention is one of the most valuable things that you have that you can never get back. And so we want to create an opportunity to honor that. And for those who want to join that revolution, you can become a producer of Canary Cry News Talk. There's a few ways you can do that. One of the ways is with you can do it with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Those who choose to become producers with their treasure, they've gone on over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT. And you can do that too if you want. But I do want to thank some of our Patreon producers. We had a couple come in over the past couple days. Gons, are you ready to thank them?
Yes.
Okay. First, I want to thank our brand new producer. Our brand new producer Journey. Cool. Thank you very much, producer Journey, for joining the revolution. I think it's the whole band.
Oh, sweet.
They all pitched in. They all pitched in a buck to produce the show. Next, I want to thank an upgrading producer, which we are so thankful for. And that producer is producer Larry B.
Is that Larry Bird from the Boston Celtics?
Yup. Thanks, Larry Bird. And let me do a quick refresh. I think that is it for our Patreon producers. But here's the thing, folks. Patreon ain't the only way to produce the show. Oh, nope. It's not the only way to produce the show. We're very thankful for those who do that. But if you don't like Patreon, that's okay. We support you. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. Over on canarycryradio.com/support, you'll find some literature about the value for value model. If you want to learn more, you can learn about the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, and you can come in, become a producer. There's a couple ways to do that. You can become a monthly recurring producer, and we thank our monthly recurring producers so much for helping lay down a foundation for the show. But if commitment is not your thing, you can become a one-time producer in any amount that you'd like. The options are endless. Gons, who do we have? Oh, and there's also cryptocurrency producerships, stuff like that, if you're a fancy techie person. But Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
Well, on the PayPal, we have a bunch of recurring producers. So we want to thank all of you, although we may not thank you by name every episode. We do appreciate the ongoing producership. But for the people that we will mention today, the first one is Tristan H.
Thank you very much, producer Tristan H. coming in with the show number producership, $3.31 for episode 331.
Yep. And an interesting extra biblical scripture here. And all the sons of men assembled and came to Enoch that day, and all the kings of the earth with their princes and counselors remained with him that day. And Enoch then taught the sons of men wisdom and knowledge, and gave them divine instruction. And he bade them serve Yahweh and walk in his way all the days of their lives, and he continued to make peace amongst them. Jasher 3:31.
Okay, some extra biblical scripture there. Very fun. Thank you, producer Tristan.
Book of Jasher. Next up, we have producer Stephen M. Stefan,
I think. Yeah. Thank you very much, producer Stefan.
Yep. And you want to read it?
We both said and Look
I
at us.
I know, that is weird.
Look at us.
I don't like it. I feel ugh.
What are the chances?
It's like I put on your jacket or something. It's just a weird.
Well, my jacket's fine. And Stefan came in with $5.01, and says it right there in the note. You want to read it? Okay.
Yep. Hello, I wanted to produce with $5.01 for Romans 5 verse 1. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. This world is looking for peace through a jab or government interaction, where we know that peace only comes through Christ and the Father and what they've done for us. Thanks for all you do. And just to clarify, the PH in my name makes the V sound. So I'm just a plain old Steven.
Oh my gosh. You Stevens and Steffens.
I know.
It's so hard to keep track of you guys.
Thanks again for all you do. Well, thank you, producer Steven.
This is Steven. Thank you, producer Steven.
Next up, we have producer James H.
Thank you very much, producer James H. Coming in with a pocket full of sevens.
That's 777. Right. And also with the pocket full of sevens, producer Kimberly W.
Thank you very much, Kimberly W.
And her note, short and sweet, love your neighbor fearlessly and sacrificially, smiley face.
Amen. And a message we all need to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Especially those vaxxed neighbors. Sorry. Next up we have, did you write this in or did I?
I
think you spelled
this next producer?
Yes, you spelled
that's
it.
me. I may have spelled it wrong.
Okay. Shield Labs. Spelled in our notes. Shield Labs.
Wow. Putting me on blast for not putting the I before the E.
Hey.
High standards here, folks. At Canary Cry News Talk.
Yeah, I'm the one that's going to hear it later when, I just copy and paste the stuff into the document. And,
something tells me Shield Labs is not going to complain about that too much.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, producer Shield Labs.
Thank you for that. Next up, we have, is that Craig I?
That is Craig I coming in hot with the $10.33. Just sneaking in that Illuminati handler producership.
Who decided that the capital I and a lowercase L just looks exactly the same?
I know, man. Fonts. That's how they get you.
People. All right. Thank you for that, producer Craig. Next up, we have producer Marcia M.
Thank you very much, producer Marcia M. coming in with the $33 Illuminati handler.
Oh, we have our Illuminati handler for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that, producer Marcia M. Next, we have producer Allison G.
Thank you very much, producer Allison G. And I think producer Allison G is the executive producer for this episode of 331 of Canary Cry News Talk.
Yes, thank you for that. Appreciate the generosity there. Next up, we have producer Lady Bird's Haberdashery. Thank
you very much, producer Ladybird's Haberdashery, and came in as, I would say, an associate executive producer of this episode. Thank you very much. And they sent a note here. It says, hello, guys. Thank you for all of your time and effort in bringing us up to date. And sometimes egregious news in our current clown world existence. As long as I'm tuned into the Canarium, I'm informed. I am a hat maker by trade, but also run Little Winged One on YouTube, which is a biblically based truth show for the outsider and unchurched. Ooh, fun. Wow. What a interesting person this is. A hat maker and a truth YouTuber. My only request is that you play the Chinese show soundbite. I think that's the Chinese news jingle for my husband, Charles, as he laughs every single time and we both enjoy you too. Keep up the great work and Godspeed in this current climate of censor madness. Blessings, Cherie, Little Winged One. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And this is for husband Charles. Woo!
Welcome to Chinese Show!
It's been a while since
my gong didn't work. I want to do that one more time.
Okay.
Welcome to Chinese Show!
There we go.
Nice. There you go, Charles. And thank you both for helping out the show and for listening.
And last but not least, we go from Cherie to Cherie H.
Coming in with a very special and generous producership, $111.11. 11111. Yeah, 5 ones. And comes in with a note. Producer Cherie says, hello, friends. I shared the channels with a regular customer of mine. Ooh, bold. I see him a few times a week when he leaves for a long haul or comes back from one. He deals in tropical fish.
Ooh.
What are these? How lucky are we that such interesting people tune into our show? He deals in tropical fish. We started chatting last week and we found that we follow a lot of the same YouTubers, but he hadn't heard of y'all. Okay, good. You fixed that. I shared all the channel names, told him about Age of Deceit collection, and directed him to TJT. Ooh, the Joyspiracy Theory. Specifically, my convo with Basil. Oh, that's right. He spends a lot of time on the road, so I know he'll be listening. So this amount is a shout out to Keeping It Real, or Tropical Fish Man, which is what I call him, from your friendly neighborhood overnight convenience store cashier.
All right.
Thank you very much, producer Cherie, and great job. And yes, everybody should check out the Joyspiracy Theory and check out the episode I did with Cherie. It's a great one. It's a doozy.
Tropical Fish Man, is that what? Is there like a tank in the truck with the tropical fish in there, or is it like?
I love that it's so cryptic. He deals in tropical fish. He's a tropical fish dealer.
Like to eat or to
gamble with?
To gamble with?
As a form of currency.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe to make hats. If we hook up Tropical Fishman with the Ladybird's haberdashery, we could have the most exotic hat you've ever seen.
Actual live fish in the hat.
It would be great.
Very good. All right. Well, that's all of our producers. Thank you so much to all of our producers here. We really appreciate it, and we're ever grateful that you guys are willing to produce the show with your treasure. It means a lot to us. And
that's right. And if you're out there, whether you're listening alone or you're watching live, wherever you may be, remember to thank a producer today. We need a round of applause for our producers. And if you're alone, you thank God for the producers of this episode of 331.
What was that? Did you prompt me for something? Sorry, no, I started reading the chat and I just lost what you were saying.
Oh, did you read the one where Joshua said, "I love Basil"? Because I read that one. Thanks, Joshua. I love you back.
Well, if you love Basil, you can help Basil get this.
You're going down, Olstein.
We really need to take down Olstein. It's our life's mission.
It's a long-term goal.
It's a big mountain to climb, man. That guy really built a big following.
Mm-hmm.
Other ways you can produce the show is with your time and talent. You can volunteer your time like Jade Bouncerson and Christine do to help out with timestamps. And, I mentioned it earlier, but I'll do it again. If you go to podcastingindex.org/apps, or it's the same link here. What is it called? I'm losing it here.
New podcast apps.
Yeah, newpodcastapps.com. There are apps on this list that you can download, and you can actually participate by helping us create chapters, and those will help out people that may come in contact with the show at a later point if they're listening back.
It's a good navigation tool.
Yeah, so there's a list of apps on this website, and there's also a list of supported elements that you'll see. And within the supported elements, some of them are chapters. And so then any of the apps that have chapters as one of those features, you can participate and help out in that way as well. That's just for the podcast side of things. But in terms of for YouTube and other places, we thank Jade Bouncerson and Christine for continuing with the timestamps.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
And of course, you can produce the show with your talent, and that includes creating jingles. We have a couple jingles to share today. This first one is from Mr. Magoo, and let me read the note from Mr. Magoo. He says he sent in the Grumpy Gons jingle, a jingle to play when Gons has a headache and feeling crumbummy and needs to change his cranky pants.
Raindrops keep falling on my head, and I don't want to get out of bed, but I've got a job to do. Canary cry news for you. Yippee!
There you
Sounds
go.
like Mr. Magoo is doing his laundry.
I was going to say laundry or the dishwasher or something in the background there.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Magoo. Gons, you can play that to cheer yourself up next time you're feeling down.
Yeah, if I get upset, I'll just play that, and I'll just look into the camera just to very depressed. Just So thank you for that, Mr. Magoo. That does cheer me up. And then we also had another jingle come in. Well, it's more of an ISO, and this one is from Eyes to See for Me. And they have a note here. Gents, thank you for keeping the show grounded in Christ. I appreciate the humor and wit as well. And as we see all these things happening around us, this passage moves in my spirit more and more. This is from Matthew 9, verses 35 through 38. Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. Without a jab, mind you. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion for them, because they were weary and scattered like sheep having no shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest truly is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray for the Lord for the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." That's Matthew 9, verses 35 through 39. So we go out as laborers. Accordingly, I know we rattle cages in the Canarium, so I had to send you this infamous NASCAR soundbite. Let's rattle them cages and turn them around to Jesus. And here it is. It's got a video form that he sent. He sent the video and audio.
Didn't mean to really turn around, meant to rattle his cage over.
Yeah. real punchy, you know?
Didn't mean to really turn around, meant to rattle his cage over.
Yeah, it took me a few listens to hear what was going on here. Do you know who this is? I'm not much of a NASCAR
I'm not a NASCAR
historian.
guy either. He says this is a infamous NASCAR soundbite, so I don't know if that's
okay. All right.
That's a good thing or not.
Yeah, they know how to rattle cages over there.
Apparently, with very fast cars.
Yeah, well,
So-
maybe you can add that into the mashup of all the rattle the cages references, clips
Yeah, we
people have
have-
sent in.
Yeah, we have a few of the rattle cages. Just people mention it in news reports and other things that, I'm trying to find. Oh, there's this one here.
They're going to probably try and rattle her cage a little bit more.
I was talking about Hillary Clinton, by the way. That's how old that clip is.
Yeah.
It was Trump trying to rattle the cage of Hillary. Interesting. But anyway, yep. Thank you for that. Eyes to see for me.
I am being told that is Dale Earnhardt Sr. And somebody I'm doing
Ricky Bobby? It's Ricky Bobby?
No, this is not.
I didn't know it was
Ricky
real.
Bobby. I wonder what is that? Is Ricky Bobby like an offensive thing to NASCAR people?
Maybe. I don't know.
You know what? Interesting. Ralph Dale Earnhardt Sr. His birthday was yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, he passed away in 2001. But yes,
I've heard
close to his
Dale
birthday.
I've heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. And
yes.
he's a NASCAR guy.
Okay, good. There you go. Gons has heard of possibly the second most famous NASCAR racer. So
I actually
take that.
have you been to a NASCAR race before?
No, I would love to do that though. Sounds like a blast.
I've been to a Indy, I think it was Indy 500. When I was a kid, I had a friend whose father was part of Panasonic, so we got to go there and meet the driver. And those cars are, those are race cars. Those aren't just like the normal cars. But man, they move fast and it's very loud.
Wait, you mean they have race cars at NASCAR?
It wasn't NASCAR, it was Indy 500.
Oh, isn't that NASCAR?
I don't think so.
Indy 500 is a race.
Is it?
And I believe that NASCAR still runs that race. But also, I have no idea. I'm kind of just talking out of nowhere. But I think my understanding is that is the case.
No, the Indianapolis 500. Okay, let's see. It's a.
Someone said yes, and another person said no. So I'm more confused than I've ever been.
All I know is that they weren't like, I know NASCAR is like cars, like they're normal beefed up cars.
Oh my gosh.
But the one I went to with the Indy racing were like race cars. It's a little different, Anyway.
No. NASCARs are race cars. Now, hold on. Okay.
IndyCar, NASCAR, different.
Stop.
See?
For a second. Okay.
I listened to Saul to Paul. I think he knows what he's talking about.
That's fine. I understand they're different cars, but they're both race cars. NASCARs are not race cars. Now, hold on. Okay, thank you. Indy 500 is different from NASCAR. We got a lot of people, a lot of haters who are being mean to us because we don't know anything about racing.
I know what I'm talking about.
No, they're
I think they're
mean to you too. You need to look at the thing. Here's
Nah.
the point. You can look. Okay. We admit when we are ignorant about things, but say something constructive. Tell us what we need to know. A lot of people just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these guys don't know that. Oh, what NASCAR noobs. Yes, we are NASCAR noobs. Tell me something constructive. Learn me something, folks.
I don't know anything about these.
Gosh.
All I know is the race I went to when I was a kid.
I don't want to go to a NASCAR race anymore. They're mean. Mean people over there. I hope you guys are happy with your NASCAR vaccine advertisements in your Pfizer car.
NASCAR is stock cars. Indy is open wheel.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
Open wheel. Love it. That sounds like my kind of party. NASCAR's mean. Indy cars rule. Come at me. Come at me. All right, let's move on.
All right. You're baiting the the chat to
come and
come after you. Well, we can do that today because the other way you can produce the show is with your art.
One art, please.
And we only have one art piece today. How crazy is that? That is very crazy. Unusual.
Yeah, it is unusual
for us. And it's from the most consistent artist of all time, producer Ali, coming in. And let me make it fit the screen here. Basil, this is Burning Man 2021 Zoom Burn. It's Basil, Amonte, Ciara Meme, and a random Satanist are logged on and ready to enjoy virtual Burning Man 2021.
Oh, yeah, this is fun.
Things are going to get hot, but you won't because you aren't really there. Is the man even burning, or is it a deep fake? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Hashtag burns aren't real.
Yes, in reference to Burning Man getting canceled this year. They're changing it over to a Zoom call because everybody loves those now. And logged into the Zoom call, we have anonymous Satanist, the man, the big man.
Yeah,
and then there's producer
Man.
Ciara, which this is a bit of an inside joke for the Canary Cry community people. This is a meme of producer Ciara that has caught quite a lot of viral attention over on Canary Cry community. And then, of course, there I am with my boulder shoulders and Canary Swole radio tank top with a cat on my head or my shoulders. Giant eyeballs. You guys get it. It's great. Thank you very much, producer Ali.
Very well done. And that's it for the art.
Okay.
Short
there we
segment
go.
on the art.
Yeah, short and sweet. Maybe all the artists are saving up they're working hard for next Wednesday's show, which will be episode 333.
Oh yeah, coming up, huh?
Yeah, coming up fast. I have something special for you, Gons.
What's that?
Reviews.
Are we gonna do reviews now?
Let
me just mention real quick the meetups. Florida, May 21st, SoCal, June 26th, Arizona, July 24th, Missouri, 9/11, Ohio, October 30th. Email ciaralauren93@gmail.com for more information. That's ciaralauren93@gmail.com.
Yeah, wait, we need to say that slower because we've gotten quite a few messages. And guys, please, I love hearing from each and every one of you. But when you send a message asking for information that we give out every single episode, it makes me question all of my life choices. So please, if you want to go or get connected or put on your own meetup, send an email. Okay, get a pen, write this down, whatever you need to do. Send an email to ciaralauren93, ciaralauren93@gmail.com. Gons and I are unable to direct you to any useful information. That is what we're going to tell you. If you message us, email Ciara.
Okay. There you go. Basil really getting tired of promoting the meetups.
Look, I just want to keep, we have such limited time there are so many emails that go unresponded to in all of our messaging things. And we don't like that. I wish we had more time to do that. But, just remember, it's information we give out on the show. Sending a message about that just kind of eats into the time. Somebody else could have gotten a message.
Well, speaking along those lines, just real briefly here, I have a couple messages that I want to relay out. We had a message from producer Pam, and Pam said in the note here, I've been listening to you guys for a little while. I just want to thank you for the hard work and the time you put into your shows. I can't support at this time, but as soon as I get back to work, I will. We need people like you two that know how to find the information and share it. I just had my 4th surgery on my knee then had a heart attack right after surgery.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be going to rehab Friday. I'm praying this one worked. Doc said he believes it was just a stress heart attack and will calm down in 2 weeks. Please ask your listeners if they don't mind to say a prayer for me. So that's producer Pam.
Yeah.
Prayer warriors out there, get praying for Pam.
Pray for Pam. My goodness.
Very, that's tough. 4 knee surgeries and a heart attack. That's, oof.
Yeah.
A lot to deal with.
There you go. We'll be praying for you, Pam. And there's the Canary Cry prayer group. We used to give out the email for that. What is the email for that?
I don't remember now.
I can't believe we haven't been talking about that. Sorry about that, Canary Cry prayer team. We'll get that email and put it out. If you have it, put it in the chat. Okay.
We also, real quick, we had a note from, from Kimberly. Producer Kimberly sent us a note that said, check out how MSN.com changed their headline and article after your podcast on April 28th. The headline, Staying 6 feet apart indoors does almost nothing, got changed to, quote, Staying 6 feet apart indoors isn't enough to stop the spread.
Okay.
It completely changes the meaning from distancing. Okay, so
yeah. They do this a lot.
Note.
This happens almost every single episode. Oftentimes they will change the headlines between, like I said, they did it today. 15 minutes before the show, they changed the headline on us.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, it's all part of the ministry of truthiness. Very similar to the book 1984, where the ministry of truth, constantly changed history, and not too much different from what happens today with the mainstream media.
Yep.
Okay, now are you ready for reviews?
Yes, now I'm ready for reviews. And that means I can click the review jingle.
Yippee. All right. Thank you to everyone who left ratings and reviews. It's hard to explain just how helpful this is, but every rating and every review goes a long way to having the iTunes algorithms share the show with new people who have maybe never heard of it before. And so you never know. The review or the rating that you leave for the show may be the one that tips the algo to get new people to finding the show. You could be directly responsible for like a whole bunch of new people getting hooked into the show, and this is a wonderful thing. Okay, so we got some ratings and reviews here. First one is a 5-star review from Matt Cargo over on Apple Podcasts, and 5 stars says, "Can you sing a Disney song without praising the occult? Can a Christian live in California? Can a Christian live in California, Cons? Will your job survive the robot takeover? Does your brain work after 2 hours of talking?" These are just a few of the many questions that come up in this groundbreaking Christian podcast to use the mainstream media against itself. Big thumbs up to the sound quality of this podcast. Someone spent some time in the sound booth at the church. So come join an Asian American and his AI googly-eyed herb. Love you, mean it. ITM. ITM to you, Matt, as well. Yeah, that's a great one. I love it.
I like it. Yeah.
Too many things to compliment about this review. Very helpful.
Yes. Yeah. I like that you're just an AI googly-eyed herb. That's perfect.
That's me.
That's actually, we should probably just put that in the PR.
No longer am I best buddy, now AI googly-eyed herb. Let's see here. Oh, and thank you for the compliment on the sound quality. We're very proud of that. Yes. And anybody who spends time listening to podcasts will know that our sound quality is top notch. And those of you who just listen live on the YouTube, you're not getting the top. I mean, it's still pretty good. But if you go listen to the RSS feed version, ooh, that's crisp. It's crisp and juicy. Just how you like it.
A little too crisp for a while. I don't know. Something was up with my mic.
Something was happening.
Yeah, but it's
better
all right.
now.
It's better now. Yep.
Next up, we have a 5-star review from Joby G. 5 stars, says cheapest version of Cameo. Oh, great. Apparently I can write anything on here and Basil has to read it. Awesome. Quote, "Honey, I'm sorry I forgot your birthday. Love you." End quote. Great show, guys. Thank you very much, Joby G. And this is technically, I have to read whatever you write here. So sorry, Joby's honey. You didn't mean it. That's
a real harsh way to break it to him, you know? Like, hold on. Just listen to this part. I'll explain everything.
That's funny. Yeah. Next, we have, this is from Little Winged One. So this is producer Cherie and husband Charlie. 5 stars, and the headline is 5-star gladiators of truth. I was amused by a review that stated that this broadcast was for, quote, baby truthers. Oh, yes.
Oh, right.
Infamous review, which prompted this review of my own. First off, thank you, gentlemen, for giving us your time 3 days out of the week to bring us the reports of the 3-ring circus that has become our clown world existence. That's right.
3
notice
coded messages there. Thank you for that.
33 Illuminati review. Yeah. I have my own channel, you know, and that is difficult to look at some of these stories, which each week decide what new horrors to report. I don't think I read that right. I have
you butchered that sentence.
My brain glitched. Hold on. I have my own channel and know that it is difficult to look at some of these stories each week and decide what new horrors to report. Not to mention trying to live your own lives.
Yes.
That is something that people forget sometimes. We are real human beings who have complicated lives. What do you receive as a return for your trouble? Ridiculous criticism from puffed up reviewers who like to see themselves in type. I myself come from an occult family and will tell you that it is no badge of honor. It is a burden and should be carried with humility to help save the lost who are without Christ. All of that said, you gentlemen should be commended for your on point and ahead of the curve reporting and service to us. You are of great help to me, and I will continue to support Canary Cry with prayer and finance when possible. Godspeed as times get darker, and well done, Cherie at Little Winged One. Thank you very much, Cherie.
Great review. Thank you.
That takes away some of the sting from that other 4-star review. Yeah. And thank you for your producership. Okay, I think, let's see here. One last one. Best show ever, 5 stars from Lalo Killa. Did I read this one last time? I don't think so.
I don't know, but
Lalo,
Lalo
for those who are not intimately familiar with Canary Cry lore, Lalo is the man who is supposed to fix Gonz's air conditioning unit 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
And still hasn't shown up.
Still waiting.
Also, we have a producer, Lalo. So if you're the producer, Lalo, thanks for producing. I've been listening to y'all for a couple months now. I usually listen to the podcast when I work overnight. I really wish y'all could do a show every day of the week. Keep up the good work. God bless both y'all. Thank you very much, Lalo Killa. I wish we could do that too. I don't think it's possible.
It probably wouldn't be very healthy for us to do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There's all the reviews. Now, folks, remember, you too can leave a review. It's one of the cheapest ways to get me to read whatever you want me to read. And you can do that by heading over to Apple Podcasts. If you have an iPhone, it's the purple app. Just type podcasts into your Apple search bar. That's a good way to do it. Or you can, wherever you are, just use Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and a review, and we'll read it on the show. It's very helpful. Like I said, your review could be the one that tips the algorithms to showing new people the show. So please keep them coming. And we're almost to 500 ratings, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm seeing 436.
Well, I have our Chartable, which includes international ratings.
Oh, okay.
So we're at 490 altogether. But yes,
good.
Let's keep them coming. This is great.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. That's it for reviews.
Okay, I think that does it for our break. Let's run through some of these other stories. You ready?
Let's do it.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Woo! I was going to play the Israel jingle, the Zionist pig one, but I don't feel it's appropriate for this next story.
Yes, probably a good choice.
Yes. And this one is from the Jerusalem Post. I have a couple of stories to sort of explain what's going on here. Israel works to identify 45 killed in Lag BaOmer Mount Meron stampede. And I'll read a couple paragraphs here, and then we'll go into the other one that explains a little bit more here. At least 45 people were killed on Thursday night after a stampede broke out. Massive crowds gathered at the Mount Meron religious bonfire lighting ceremony for the holiday of Lag BaOmer. I hope I'm saying that sort of correctly. In what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called a, quote, grave disaster. Approximately 90,000, mostly ultra-Orthodox Jews, had thronged to the Mount Meron tomb of 2nd century sage Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai for annual Lag BaOmer commemorations that include all-night prayer, mystical songs, and dance. The stampede began near the bonfire of the Taldo Aharon Hasidic sect, which is based in Jerusalem. Some 150 people were injured overnight, with 21 receiving treatment at various hospitals in the north, 4 of them in serious condition, and over 250 of ambulances and 6 helicopters called to the scene to evacuate the injured, according to Magen David Adom, MDA. The dead included at least 5 minors under the age of 16. A field hospital was set up at the scene. Israel police and IDF soldiers worked to evacuate the injured and clear the crowds. Phone service at the scene crashed as thousands attempted to contact family members and emergency services. An investigation has been opened by Israeli police into the cause of the accident. The ecstatic crowd had packed the Mount Meron slope in defiance of COVID-19 warnings by health officials. It was the largest public gathering since Israel started lifting coronavirus restrictions on the public weeks ago. Witnesses said people were asphyxiated or trampled in the passageway, starting at around 1 a.m., some going unnoticed until the PA system sounded an appeal to disperse. And let me switch to this other article here, which is from Haaretz. Why do Orthodox Jews flock to the Mount Meron tomb of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai? And, you know, I don't know if you've been in like a mosh pit situation, Basil, and concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're in a big crowd,
it can get sketchy.
It gets real sketchy, because if your arms and legs get pinned and people just kind of squeeze and everything, it can be kind of freaky. Like, you can definitely freak out.
If you fall, if you're on the ground, people are stepping on you. You can't get up, and nobody notices you. They're getting pushed around.
Well,
it can be
that's
pretty spooky.
That's the other thing. If you're in a crowd that's that tightly pushed together and they're being kind of rammed into a door or something like that, you can't control anything. You just go with the crowd, because you're surrounded and you're being pushed in, and you'll just walk over whatever. If there's someone below you, I mean, you know, it's horrible. But
I'm sorry, I think I missed it. What caused this stampede?
It was a stampede at around 1 a.m. So let me read this here. So I think this will kind of explain why there were so many people there. It was just kind of a tragedy of people that just too big of a crowd.
Uh-huh.
So it says here, the catastrophe at Mount Meron in northern Israel took place during the annual Hilula celebration marking the anniversary of the death of a famous sage for Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Also known as Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon is believed to have died on the Jewish holiday of Lag BaOmer. The event typically draws tens, if not hundreds of thousands of visitors to his gravesite, the vast majority of them ultra-Orthodox. It is the biggest religious festival of the year in Israel, as pilgrims sing, dance, and feast around bonfires on Mount Meron throughout night. It is also common in the Orthodox community for parents of boys who have reached the age of 3 to bring them to the tomb for their first haircut on Lag BaOmer. The Hilula on Thursday, in which at least 45 Israelis were killed and another 150 injured during a stampede, was the biggest event to take place in the country since the coronavirus lockdown ended last month. Rabbi Shimon, who lived in the 2nd century, was a brilliant Talmudic scholar who, according to some accounts, was the author of the Zohar, the main work of Kabbalah or Jewish mysticism. He was the disciple of Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest Jewish scholars and sages of all time. According to tradition, on the day of his death, Rabbi Shimon revealed to his disciples the secrets of the Kabbalah, which is one explanation for how Lag BaOmer became a day of celebration. the bonfires symbolizing the light or wisdom he shared with the world. Another explanation is that on this day, the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, the 49 days leading up to the holiday of Shavuot, which celebrates the giving of the Torah to the Jewish people, a plague had killed 24,000 of Rabbi Akiva's students and student ended. Rabbi Shimon was among the few who to be spared. Rabbi Shimon is said to have hid with his son in a cave in the Galilee for 13 years in order to escape death at the hands of the Roman rulers at the time. A death sentence was issued against him after he was overheard criticizing the Romans. According to legend, the father and son were able to sustain themselves during the long period of hiding by eating from a carob tree that grew at the entrance to a cave. It would not be the first time the joyous event celebrating the legacy of Rabbi Shimon ended in disaster. On May 15th, 1911, almost 110 years ago today, 11 people were killed at the Hilula when a railing surrounding a nearly overlook collapsed. That's hard. I don't know if
near overlook. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And close to 100 people fell from a height of roughly 25 feet to the ground below. Hundreds of thousands of Jews visit Rabbi Shimon's gravesite throughout the year to make special requests of God. It is out of a belief widely held among Orthodox Jews that God is more likely to grant their request if they pray at the gravesite of the tzaddik, which is the righteous person. So, yeah, that's kind of the background of the event here, and it looks like it was just overcrowded and people got a little too ambitious.
Some sort of stampede. It's interesting. There's the connection with the 33. There's also 11 and the discussion of the Kabbalah and things like that. So that's noted. But ultra-Orthodox Jews, I wonder if they are part of the unvaccinated crowd.
Oh, no. Oh, that's a good question. I actually
Israel.
think they are vaccinated. Hold on. Let me see.
Does it say?
No, it doesn't say, but I think they were. There's a story from a week and a half ago how Israel persuaded reluctant ultra-Orthodox Jews to get vaccinated against COVID-19.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say there might be an interesting angle there where it's this big crowd of unvaccinated people and then, some disaster to try to persuade people to not gather or something. That's very US of me. That's very United States thinking. That's something our government would do.
It does look like it was a lot of the young ultra-Orthodox who were adamant that they not get vaccinated in this situation. So
interesting.
Yeah, good observation there. But yeah, I mean, this is a tragedy on one hand. And, we don't like hearing young people lose their lives ever.
Yeah, no.
But just wanted to report it. And also because it kind of goes to show sort of the natural human, tendency to like overdo it when they get released after being in lockdown for so long. And it just,
the herd mentality.
The herd mentality. Yeah. Just overrides any kind of common sense in this situation. And again, when you're in a big crowd like that, you can't, if you're within the crowd, there's not much you can do. You just kind of have to go with the flow.
Right.
And it's a very unfortunate situation there, but yep. Just wanted to report that, I won't go as far as to say it's some kind of weird sacrifice, but I'm sure somebody can.
Who knows? Not I.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that every time I've looked at this story, the death count keeps going up. So there must still be people in the hospital hanging on. So
yeah.
Pray that people can recover.
Yes.
Well, to bring us out of that, Gons, I think we should talk about some cyborgs.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
Okay, this is coming from metro.co.uk. The headline, U.S. Space Force scientist says military human augmentation is necessary in next decade. It's necessary, Gons, the Space Force. Dr. Joel Moser, speaking at an event at the Air Force Research Laboratory, said that it is imperative that the U.S. outdo its adversaries by leading in human augmentation in military technology. Quote, in the last century, Western civilization transformed from an industrial-based society to an information-based society. But today, we're on the brink of a new age. The age of human augmentation. Oh, and we just took that jingle off of the list.
Yeah, it's been happening to me. So I have a soundboard for anybody who cares. I have a soundboard. It allows me to put on 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 40 or 50 jingles. And I have to rotate certain jingles in and out based on, what we talk about and stuff like that. And I just took out the New Age jingle because I was like, yeah, we haven't heard from Trump in a while. And Trump's the New Age guy here. So let me pull it back up here. And
while you do that, it is an interesting connection because, of course, the Space Force is Trump's. I think the Space Force, more than anything, is Trump's legacy, at least to people like us, because it's just so fun. And so, yes, to have Trump's legacy, the Space Force, talk about moving into the new age of human augmentation.
We will launch a new age.
So delicious. There he is. There's our Vax bro. Quote, in our business of national defense, it's imperative that we embrace this new age, lest we fall behind in our strategic competitors.
Man, it's always the adversaries that push us into directions we don't want to go.
We only do it because we have to, Gons.
Yeah, I know.
Moser, whose career has been spent largely with the U.S. Air Force developing spaceflight technologies, warned that there would be unimaginable advances made over the next decade, citing the leaps in artificial intelligence that have already been made in programs like Google's AlphaGo. Oh, good. We're referring to Google's AlphaGo for our military AI expansion.
Google.
The Space Force scientist added that AI could eventually develop military tactics and strategies that no human could, and that eventually autonomous programs or machines could advise commanders in real time. Horrifying, because the most horrifying thing about this is leaving strategy up to AI is there's no morals involved. It's it's interesting because it could bring us back to a robot version of World War II dropping the atomic bomb, where finally they got to the point where they're like, you know what? We can end this war and save lives. We can save human lives by incinerating, hundreds of thousands of Japanese civilians. And
I was told by the robots that we'll be safe.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We're going to be fine. The article continues, the AI could eventually create programs that design lines of attack too complex for humans to understand, Moser warned. Oh, geez. Quote, this will extend to the battlefield where commanders and decision makers will have at their disposal multiple autonomous agents. Wow. Multiple autonomous agents. You have your strategy. You have R2-D2 and C-3PO out there with you. Yeah. Each able to control the execution of things like reconnaissance or fire control or attack, added Moser. He warned that we, quote, we must think carefully about the ethics of this and how we will trust these autonomous agents, especially in an era of lethal autonomous warfare. Moving on to human augmentation, he suggested augmentation technology that could eventually produce a superhuman workforce that used technologies like augmented reality, virtual reality, and nerve stimulation. Workforce is an interesting term. You could put an individual into a state of flow where learning is optimized and retention is maximized. Quote, this individual could be shaped into somebody with very high performing potential.
Is this real?
This is horrifying, dude.
Is this a real article?
Yeah, this is totally real.
Oh, gosh.
The U.S. government has a long history of human experimentation for potential military applications. Oh, geez, don't bring that up. In the 1960s, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, ever heard of it, ran a covert program named MK Ultra, which sought to test the effects of drugs, torture, and esoteric psychological techniques on human subjects.
Do you know why they're able to say all this? It's because it's a UK outlet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is no publicly available information suggesting the U.S. has attempted to augment humans in any systematic way so far. However,
publicly available.
Very specific language. However, the Pentagon's research department, DARPA, has oh gosh, I just had a flashback to Fauci getting his NIH DARPA.
Oh gosh.
I'm terrified. However, the Pentagon's research department, DARPA, has undertaken projects that look at human augmentation, such as a skin implant that can detect pathogens. That's interesting. They're just bringing up the COVID microchip.
Yeah.
And the neural mesh to link the human brain and computers. Meanwhile, Elon Musk's Neuralink attempts to make a commercial brain-computer interface. The biotech company recently revealed it had successfully allowed a monkey to play Pong with its mind using one of their proprietary chips, though critics pointed out that this had already been done decades earlier. Wow. Strong language, man. And I love this photo in the middle of the article. You've got a sort of super.
I don't have it. It's like blocked. Hold on. Let me see if I blocked some tracker. Yeah.
Take off some trackers. You got to get that sweet JPEG. It's very intense. You can tell this came out of the, Space Force PR department.
It's got a flippy arm.
Yes. You've got a super soldier with a laptop controlling a flippy arm. Our favorite
like
little buddy
gun or something
with a Gatling gun on the end and tank treads.
Intense.
Space Force chief scientist. Yeah. Augmented soldiers will be here sooner rather than later. It's the image thing there. Yeah. So there you go. Some pretty strong language from this guy, man. Straight up coming out and saying we're going to have autonomous agents making our strategies that will develop attack plans too complicated for the humans to understand. This is the big problem. I mean, that is Skynet. Who knows what's going on in that black box, and who knows what it's it's a classic storyline, classic sci-fi storyline where they make the AI who has a goal of protecting the US, but then suddenly the super complicated plan of the AI is to assassinate the president because it's that would be best for the America of robots. It's a whole thing.
That's the whole Ultron.
We're marching right into it.
Yeah, it's the whole Ultron thing.
Oh, you're right.
Marvel.
That's an easier reference. Yes, yeah. Ultron. So there you go, buddy. We're there.
Well, first off,
I tried to tell you.
I think a lot of people who listen to the show regularly and who have over the years are vindicated here. But also, more specifically, even like the details. I had said on this show very early on when we started this show that part of the reason why, whether you believe in space or not, clearly, our bodies aren't made to be up there, we die. And I had mentioned, this will be an excuse to start genetically modifying us. We need to be able to survive in space, right?
Yeah.
And so for the Space Force guy to come out and say, oh, yeah, we're going to augment humans. I mean, geez, man, did you, there it is. It's here. Like I said, we're entering this genetic age. This COVID thing is connected to this. This has to be connected because, and obviously we're not the only people saying that, but
making the vaccine is a big part of that. Of course, as much as the media and angry pro-vaxxers will say that vaccines have been around forever. Well, not this one. This is not the same as a regular vaccine. This is actually augmenting you. I mean, maybe not transforming your DNA. I want to be very particular. I still don't adhere to the fact that it changes your DNA on a CRISPR level, but it does augment your body's expression of that DNA. It's augmentation.
It is really dipping your toe in the water of genetic modification.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not fully in there yet, but it's a little jab into the genetic modification pool.
Little tester.
Yeah, little big toe in the dip there into the waters of chaos.
The waters of chaos.
The sea of chaos in which the beast will rise. So yeah, I mean, and to this point here, we're just kind of moving on, but also staying on a similar topic here.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
This is an update more than anything. We've reported on this when they first talked about it, but usatoday.com, the first genetically modified mosquitoes released in the U.S. to buzz in the Florida Keys. So I don't know why there's a picture of a dude with noodles, like spaghetti noodles here. I have no clue what the deal is there.
Mosquito noodles.
Just to read a couple paragraphs here. On Thursday morning, workers from a British company, those Brits in Florida, placed basketball-sized cardboard boxes.
This is how they take us back, man.
I know. This is like their slow takeover. Workers from a British company placed basketball-sized cardboard boxes into 6 yards in the Florida Keys. Then they added water. See, they rise from the seas. In a week or so, 12,000 male Aedes, am I saying that right? Aedes? Aegypti mosquitoes will one by one begin buzzing out of each box.
One by one?
Yeah, the first genetically modified mosquitoes to be released in the United States. Local officials argue the trial is necessary at a time when pesticides are increasingly ineffective against dangerous pests. A 2016 vote on the project claimed a solid majority of support in most of the surrounding counties.
I'm glad they put that date in there because in the first years of us doing news talk, we talked about this exact thing.
We definitely covered this. And I
so
remember
it took
thinking,
them 4 years to get here.
I remember talking about it too and thinking that's kind of a while from now, but it can come quick.
Yeah.
And here we are. A quote, "At the end of the day, our hope is to be able to control this mosquito more efficiently and keep our population below any sort of disease transmission threshold," said Andrea Leal, executive director of the Florida Keys Mosquito District. Quote, our toolbox for Aedes aegypti control is shrinking, unfortunately, and that's making us think outside the box. But years-long opposition to the test project continues, with critics arguing it can have unintended consequences and that their concerns had not been adequately addressed by the government or Oxitec, the British biotechnology company releasing them. You know, Biden mentioned biotechnology in his thing the other day. I wonder if this is what he had in mind. You know, they're trying to brief him on it. Hey, they're going to release these mosquitoes, these bioengineered mosquitoes. And he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Come on, man. Whatever you say, Nancy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, I don't want to sit here and read through all of this because we get it. We get the gist of it here. But
they're doing it. It's happening.
They're doing it.
You know, again, another sort of... sometimes when you read an article about something crazy that's going to happen, and I remember this story when we did it back in 2016. I remember this being like the most apocalyptic thing at the moment. Like oh my gosh, they're doing it. We're all doomed because of the GMO mosquitoes. Oh, whew, okay, they're not doing it, for another 5 years. And here we are, 5 years later, and they're actually doing it.
I know. I'm sorry. We totally forgot to thank Lloyd for the deep fake.
You want to do it now?
Skipped it. I do, but we can do it again next time. But yeah, so Lloyd, producer Lloyd V. Is that? Yes, Lloyd V.
Yeah, the King's Kid.
Yes.
The Canary Cried Dutchman, our deep fake technician.
Yes, he sent in another deep fake. And this one is deep fakes for Canary Cry News Talk. He said, for this episode of CCNT, I have a deep fake of Sensei Shimura. I would also like to let you know that me and my wife are expecting a little Canarian.
Ooh.
Congratulations. Thanks for the great show. I love you guys. Not in a weird way since I have a wife. God bless producer Lloyd. This is, I'm kind of bummed that I missed it. I hope he doesn't turn off the show. We'll do it again. We'll thank him again. And play this again.
We'll do it in the next break.
But this is kind of loud. But here we go.
For those who are just listening, it's like footage from an old black and white samurai movie. Very intense, lots of wind, and we've got Gonz's face deep faked onto the samurai.
I'm trying to remember which movie this was.
It looks cool. I want to see it. It looks cooler than any recent samurai films that I've seen.
Harakiri Yojimbo. I know this actor that they he put my face over. He's a very well known. He's like one of the top well known samurai actors, of his day from the 60s or whatever. So
there hasn't been a reason to bring it up recently, but I did see Mortal Kombat, the new one.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Not as brutal as I thought it was going to be compared to like the films, and probably wouldn't. I'm not necessarily suggesting anybody see this film, but a big part of the film is they call him a ninja, but it's a lot of samurai vibes. And I felt very connected to the character. I felt like he was my buddy, and we should talk about the government and stuff.
I see your drift.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. I just feel very connected now to the whole samurai milieu. So yeah. Thank you, Gons, for giving me that experience, and thank you, Lloyd, our Canary Cried Dutchman, the King's Kid in the chat, for continuing to delight and astound us with your masterful use of deepfake technology.
Yes. I apologize. You were talking about something. I totally broke in and broke your rhythm.
Oh, that's okay. I was just talking about how, a lot of times we talk about stuff that's crazy and we'll be like, oh, they're not going to do it for 5 years. First of all, I can't believe we've been doing this show for 5 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. It doesn't seem, we used to do it a lot less, one time a week, half hour a week.
Yeah.
So, this is a new format, but yeah, a lot of times we'll talk about something crazy and then they'll be like, oh, but they're not going to do it for, 10 more years or something. That comes quick, man. Life moves fast.
Yeah.
All this 2030 agenda stuff that feels kind of far off. It's going to be 2030 and we're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe we're here. We've been talking about this for 15 years. Please produce the show.
It looks like in the chat, they're saying it's Seven Samurai, which was a movie from 1954. And actually, there's an actor named Takashi Shimura in the film.
Ooh.
My same last name.
Shimura.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah,
okay.
Cool. All right. So yeah, we got to get through a couple of these stories fairly quickly, but there's one here that's kind of, I don't know, disturbing, and I would say illegal.
Oh yeah, this is illegal. This is coming from Vice.com, and the headline is "The IRS wants to help hacking cryptocurrency hardware wallets." The IRS wants help hacking cryptocurrency hardware wallets. The IRS is looking for help to break into cryptocurrency hardware wallets, according to a document posted on the agency website in March of this year. Many cryptocurrency investors store their cryptographic keys, which confer ownership of their funds, with the exchange they use to transact or on a personal device. Did I read that correctly?
Yep.
Sounded weird. Okay. Some folks, however, want a little more security and use hardware wallets, small physical drives which store a user's keys securely, unconnected to the internet. The law enforcement arm of the tax agency, IRS Criminal Investigation, and more specifically its digital forensic unit, is now asking contractors to come up with solutions to hack into crypto wallets that could be of interest in investigations, the document states. Quote, "The decentralization and anonymity provided by cryptocurrencies has fostered an environment for the storage and exchange of something of value outside of the traditional purview of law enforcement and regulatory organizations," the document reads. Quote, "There is a portion of this cryptographic puzzle that continues to elude organizations, millions, perhaps even billions of dollars exist within crypto wallets. The security of hardware wallets presents a problem for investigators. The document states that agencies may be in possession of a hardware wallet as part of a case, but may not be able to access it if the suspect does not comply. This means that authorities cannot effectively investigate the movement of cryptocurrencies, and it may prevent the forfeiture and recovery of the funds. That's why the IRS wants researchers and contractors to come forward with solutions to hack into hardware wallets. Crucially, the IRS does not want a one-off solution, but tools that it can reliably use in multiple cases going forward. Quote, the explicit outcome of this contract is to tame the cybersecurity research into measured, repeatable, consistent digital forensic processes that can be trained and followed in a digital forensics laboratory, the document says. While the desire for a reusable tool makes a lot of sense, it's also what makes this request so challenging, according to Andrew Tierney, a security researcher who has done research into cryptocurrency hardware wallets. It's not necessarily the most credible credential. He has done research into cryptocurrency hardware wallets.
Hey, why didn't you interview me, Vice? I've done research.
I got Google, man. I research hardware wallets. Quote, hardware wallets are really getting quite secure now with a lot of research into them. You might be able to find issues in a few, but to have ready-made exploits to work against lots of them is going to be very hard. Tierney, who is also known as Cybergibbons, told Motherboard in an online chat. Quote, another challenge, of course, is that the funds aren't actually on the wallet. Just the keys. If the owner knows they are attacking it and can act, the funds can be moved. According to cryptocurrency research firm Chain Analysis, around 20% of all Bitcoin in existence, equaling more than $100 billion, is locked in wallets. Quote, there's so much lost Bitcoin out there. It's like the 21st century of sunken ships with treasure aboard. Adrian Sanabria, a cybersecurity expert, told Motherboard in an online chat. The IRS has recently signaled its intent to track and enforce against fraud related and to cryptocurrencies, and even more closely than it has in the past. In March, the agency announced, quote, Operation Hidden Treasure, which has the goal of ferreting out undeclared cryptocurrency gains. The documents make no mention of that operation, and it is unclear if it is connected to it or not. Regardless, as more and more criminals choose hardware wallets to protect their ill-gained bitcoins, bitcoins. Come on, Vice. The feds clearly want methods to access them to find key evidence. For some, however, there may be easier and cheaper solutions. Quote, it seems like overkill. Nicholas Weaver, a senior researcher at the International Computer Science Institute at UC Berkeley, told Motherboard in an online chat. Motherboard is really doing a lot of online chats. I was going to say,
all of this is referenced from online chats.
Online chats.
They couldn't get a phone call from anybody.
Not even an email?
Yeah, no email,
no
just
Zoom
online
call,
chat. They must have been in
chat.
Telegram or something.
You're right. Probably a Signal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering these are all cybersecurity researchers.
Yeah.
They probably only chat on Signal or Telegram or something like that. Sessions. Quote, for more of these devices, a choice of... For most of these devices, a choice of either give us the password or rot in jail for contempt might be sufficient. Yeah, this is not a bad point. Yeah, so there you go. The IRS trying to hack your hardware wallets. For those who don't know, just for in colloquial terms, hardware wallets, instead of storing your cryptocurrency on the internet or the keys, the codes to get in, or needing to remember a code, you put it on a hardware wallet, which is basically a USB drive that you can unplug or plug in directly to a computer, and it opens up your cryptocurrency stuff for you. It's like having an actual key to your house instead of like a code or something. Makes it more difficult for somebody to hack or gain access to your cryptocurrency. So there you go, man. IRS getting really gnarly.
I don't think a hardware wallet has at least certain brands that are like the big brands, like the Ledger, has ever been hacked?
No, they are incredibly secure, which is part of the benefit, which is a good thing. But not for the IRS, who, makes their living stealing from hardworking Americans. I've never heard of a hardware wallet getting broken. They've got incredibly complicated cryptography on these suckers.
Yeah, a lot of the hacks that happen are like social engineering, like fake websites,
scams.
Phishing, yeah. But never like a brute force, we're going to just crack the encryption and get in.
I've never heard of it, but on the other hand, if someone was able to brute force hack in, brute force is very specific, but to be able to hack into one of these things, I have a feeling they wouldn't tell anybody. I probably wouldn't tell anybody unless I wanted to go straight and get a job with the IRS.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's interesting because like that's part of the whole reason why cryptocurrencies is gaining popularity is because the traditional systems are scrambling to get it together because it's developed without their oversight. They've ignored it, at least mostly publicly, and the innovations continue to happen. And even countries that ban it, India banned it multiple times, and they unbanned it multiple times. Turkey just banned it, and trading went up.
Yeah,
on the exchanges. China's banned it multiple times.
I believe Canada played with that idea too.
They did. I think it was when that exchange, there was, I can't remember the name. There was an exchange up there that the owners of the exchange ran away with the private keys of crypto. So they were talking about shutting down the exchanges and stuff. But yeah, it is a good learning curve for people because you learn what an exchange is, what the difference between, cold storage, hot storage, that kind of stuff. Very interesting. And again, and I've mentioned this before, we've really come to this strange era where this digital thing, it's not even really a thing, it's just a collection of ones and zeros, is money because people are willing to use it as a medium of exchange, can be stored effectively. The access to it can be stored in your brain. You just got to memorize the private key and it's in your brain. And if you don't want to let that information out of your brain, you don't have to. And this is why they want to microchip everyone's brains, because then it all kind of makes sense as to why it's going in that direction. So, especially when in light of Mark of the Beast prophecies, you understand you can't buy or sell without the mark. You can kind of understand, okay, you can't really transact without, allowing the authorities to know what you have and what you're using it for, and et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. Anything else you got on this, or
et cetera, et cetera,
et cetera? Okay, well, a couple sets of deepfake updates, and then we're out of here. Okay.
We are in deepfake.
This is cyberscoop.com. Deepfakes advertised on underground markets, signaling possible shift. Recorded future says.
Huh?
Yeah, and we've talked about deep fakes going into the black markets and stuff. So
called it.
Another one of those called it moments. Malicious use of manipulated video and audio files, technology known as deep fakes, is swiftly migrating toward crime and influence operations, according to findings published Thursday. Threat intelligence company Recorded Future pointed to a recent surge in such activities as a burgeoning underground marketplace that could spell trouble for individuals and companies that use tools like facial identification technology as part of multi-factor authentication. Haven't we been saying this for years, even before?
That's why I was confused. I'm confused a lot, but I'm even more confusing at this. How's this news? Okay,
well, I'm just saying that they're acknowledging this kind of move openly that it's going underground or whatever. The report mirrors similar conclusions from an FBI alert last month, warning that nation-backed hackers would themselves begin using deepfakes more frequently for cyber operations as well as misinformation and disinformation. Quote, we believe that threat actors have begun to advertise customized deepfake services that are directed at threat actors interested in bypassing security measures and to facilitate fraudulent activities, specifically fake voices and facial recognition, the company's Insect Group wrote in a blog post. I mean, yeah, we won't go through this whole thing here, but you get the idea. Again, we're just right about a lot of things, Basil. Not that we're trying to like pat ourselves on the back, but we're in this enough to know where things are headed, kind of. And this is another.
That's certainly
example.
how we feel. But on another way to look at it is, here it is. Here is that thing we told you about 5 years ago. So just keeping you updated. It's here now. Which again, we talked about deep fake, and while people are kind of sloughed it off at the time about, oh, it's not that good and it's got a long way to go and it's just, they could create disinformation. No. You can use this to get past, iPhone facial recognition. You can get it to, a bad actor could insert a deep fake thing into security footage. They could framing somebody for a crime is much easier in this case, along with the voice issues with, phishing calls. And
I remember you told a story about how
my grandpa,
your grandpa, right?
He is a champ, and it doesn't fall for it, but he gets a couple of calls a year from somebody claiming to be me. And there's several different versions of this. My favorite was somebody called him claiming to be me, and I'm in jail and I need him to wire me money to get out of jail. And when he's like, oh, it doesn't sound like you.
That's the
I got
thing.
a cold. Oh, send me money.
That's the thing, though, is once they can perfect this technology, if they figure out who you are, they have enough audio recordings on the internet to make it sound real.
We're pretty screwed when it comes to this audio deep fake thing. Somebody who's good enough could really put out anything they wanted of us, talking. But at this point, here we are. People, you're listening to us now. If some weird audio comes out from us, we're calling it now. It's probably a deep fake.
Probably deep fake. And the other,
and if
deep
there's
fake
video, if there's security video of a man with a VR headset with giant googly eyes on robbing a bank, I'm just telling you, it's probably a deep fake.
You wouldn't even have to deep fake that, though. Anybody can put on a helmet with googly eyes and run around and say that they're
you think
Basil.
Anybody can do what I do? I'm a professional VR helmet wearer, Gons.
Okay. This other story, this final story we have here, is also a deepfake story from GCN.com. Location spoofing creates deepfake satellite images. Research indicates that deepfake geography, or realistic but fake images of real places, could become a growing problem. For example, a fire in Central Park seems to appear as a smoke plume and in line of flames in a satellite image. In another, colorful lights on Diwali night in India seen from space seems to show widespread fireworks activity. Both images exemplify what the new study calls location spoofing. The photos created by different people for different purposes are fake, but look like genuine images of real places. So using satellite photos of 3 cities and drawing upon methods used to manipulate video and audio files, a team of researchers set out to identify new ways of detecting fake satellite photos, warn of the dangers of falsified geospatial data, and call for a system of geographic fact-checking.
Whoa, that's heavy.
I think this, like, flat earthers deserve a point for this. You know what I mean? Like, they're always looking at Google Earth and like finding weird anomalies and stuff like that. And even like Google Mars, or not Google, was it Google Mars? Whatever it is, like the Google thing that you can go to Mars and the moon and see it all mapped and you find weird things. All of it could be faked, but now it's like we don't even know where we are. We really can't trust any of the things telling us where we're at.
And for those who are just listening, there's a lot of there's some like images that really drive this home. Basically, when you use Google Earth or even Apple Maps, or anything like that, and you're looking, down from a satellite, looking at rooftops and trees and blocks and things like that. That's what they're deep faking here. That's what I don't even know if deep fake is the right word, but that's what they are actively manipulating. But even, think about how big that could be, sneaking something like that into, say, Google Earth. On the fun side, you could sneak in some alien megalithic, encampment in the Amazon that, proves, oh my gosh, we found the aliens on Google Earth or something like that.
Right.
But what flashed into my mind also was like disaster scenes, like, oh, look at this. Look, New York has been completely obliterated for some, PSYOP operations or something.
Yeah, and this is part of the Utopia Chronicles, a fiction story by Matthew Mather. It's part of the plot line that the elites that live in this virtual reality world.
I should just write sci-fi books for teens.
Yeah, at this point, I think people might think we're ripping other people off because there's a lot of this stuff already out there. But yeah, so in the Atopia Chronicles, or is it? Yeah, I think it's the Atopia Chronicles, or is it the Utopia? No, it's not Utopia. Anyway, in the series, there the elite are in this. They're in their own kind of virtual bubble, and they all think that there's a storm coming to take out their island. They have like a floating island that they all reside on. And the rest of the world is like, what storm? What do you guys talk? Like, what? They get all diplomatic about it and scientific, and they get all these people to figure out what to do to avert this giant storm coming towards them. But it was all just a virtual deception. So very reminiscent of that. Even the scientists get psyoped.
What? Scientists would never lie. They would never have
Although
any
they were
reason.
being lied to.
Oh,
they didn't
my
realize that they were being
gosh.
psyoped.
Oh, and why would anybody lie to a scientist?
It's a sci-sci.
Science.
That's the name of our the movie. Sci-Sci.
This is going to be a hit. All right, sounds good. Well, we've been going for about 3.5 hours again.
I need to get out.
We
It's
just
hot,
can't help
sweaty.
ourselves, Gons.
I know. I try. I every episode, I'm like a little bit less on the number of articles, and then we go through it, and it takes 3.5 hours. I know. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, you're welcome, folks. This is what we do out of love. All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Before you go, we'll be back on, what is it? What comes after
Monday,
April?
May.
Let me May
get
the 3rd.
3rd?
May the 3rd be with you.
Oh, no, my calendar. Yeah, the 3rd. 3rd of May.
Okay, there you go. Oh, man, no show day on May the 4th.
Well, May Day. May Day is tomorrow. Illuminati is founded on May Day.
Yeah. Okay, well, have a fun May Day, everybody. And no show. So May the 3rd. We'll be back on Monday. May the 3rd be with you, and make sure to be back here. Again, we'll be slowly adding different outlets. Rumble just got added today, so if you're a Rumble person, go check it out. Or if you know any Rumble people, tell them about the show. And we'll see you back here on Monday. But remember, we'll need some producers for Monday's show. It'll be episode 332. First, I want to thank all of our producers for this episode 331. Big shout outs to producers Larry B, Journey, Tristan H, Stephen M, James H, Kimberly W, Shield Labs, Craig I, Marsha M, Allison G, Ladybirds, Haberdashery, and Cherie H. Thank you all for producing this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. And thank you to our executive producer, producer Allison G, and our associate executive producers, Ladybird Haberdashery, that's Little Winged One on YouTube, and producer Cherie H. Check out her episode on the Joyspiracy Theory. But if you would like to become a producer of the show, remember, the production doesn't get produced unless the producers do the producing. So head on over to patreon.com/CCNT if you want to do the Patreon thing. Or if not, you can head over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right, canarycryradio.com/support. All sorts of fun stuff over there. And we can't wait to see who the producers are for next episode on Monday. Now, you can also produce the episode in many other ways, not just your treasure, but also your time and your talent. Thank you to Jade Bouncerson and Christine for the timestamps, giving up your time to help out the show and create those little points of time in the universe that will eventually become the chapters on Podcasting 2.0. If you're out there and you want to make your time available for timestamps and things like that, I know Jade Bouncerson would love to help coordinate that for you. And you're providing value for the show. The show only has value because of the value provided by the producers. So go ahead and email jadebouncerson@gmail.com if you want to get involved with that. And thank you to our creative producers with all the talent in the world for the jingles and the ISOs and the art. It's Mr. Magoo, Eyes to See For Me, and Allie. You guys are the best. And if you're out there and you want to create something for the show, whether it's music or jingles or art in whatever form that takes, you creative crazies out there, go ahead and email that to canarycryradio@gmail.com if you like it easy, or canarycryradio@protonmail.com if you like to keep it a secret. And we'd love to put those things on the show. Content, baby. We love it. Remember to leave reviews and ratings and reviews or reviews. Go ahead and do that at Apple Podcasts. You can pull it up. Any iPhone has it. Or I believe you can do it online. Just search for Canary Cry News Talk on Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. It's like the cheapest cameo you could think of. I got to read it on the show. Unless there's bad words. I won't say bad words. We got kids. We got kids who listen to this show, folks. So please do that. It's very helpful to spreading the show. But it's also helpful when you just share the show. Share it on your social media. Put it on your Twitter, your Facebook, your whatever you do. Parler, whatever your thing is. Farmersonly.com. Wherever you do your socializing on the internet, share a show. It's very appreciative. And you know what? People trust you. You don't know this, but people trust you and they listen to the podcast that you recommend. But not just on social media. You got friends, you got family. They're all starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. You can go ahead and let them know that they are not alone by telling them about Canary Cry News Talk. We like to call it rattling cages. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. And remember, there's canarycry.community. I see some conversation in the chat about staying in touch with other people who are Canarians. They're on the level, folks. Head on over to canarycry.community. It's a real URL. Thank you to producer Smiley for taking care of that for us. And that's a great place to meet other Canarians just like you. And remember to email producer Ciara. That's Ciara Loren 93 at gmail.com to learn more about the meetups happening all around this great country of ours. You gotta do it. You gotta meet up with other people. It's human beings, man. Can't get enough of them. All right, Gons, any last words?
I am speaking the truth in Christ. I am not lying. My conscience bears me witness in the Holy Spirit. That's Romans 9, verse 1. And take that with you over the weekend because it's May Day, Illuminati Day. Just make sure you protect yourself. And watch out for those eyeballs.
They're everywhere. All right, everybody. Again, make sure to tune back in on May the 3rd. That's Monday. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up.
Leave the bird alone.
I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo.
Come on, man.
I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo.
Aliens.
You in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on in my people's zoo.
Aborted feces.
I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo. You in my people's zoo.
Never do it, Slim Jim.
Look at that. People don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sake.
scum.
In my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths!